in debt, I'm obese, I'm addicted to anime porn, I live in my mom's basement, and I'm confused about what gender I am. Now, let me tell you how to fix the country.
Sorry, I couldn't pass that one up this morning. Hope you're all doing really well today. It is Liberation Day in America. It should be very interesting to see how today plays out. Again, we don't find out actually until 3 p.m. Central Time. So we'll have to wait a little bit for that. But we have other stuff to keep us busy right now. Did you guys like that intro? I just thought it was too good. We got other stuff to keep us busy right now because we got Tesla delivery numbers and data coming out for energy and, again, for auto. So that should be fun to see. We're still in extreme fear. I don't know about you guys, but I actually made some money yesterday. MicroStrategy was up 6.16, so I made about 12.5% off of MSTU and MSTX. That was good. Tesla was up 3.59%, so I made about 7% off of TSLL, which was good. Mara was up 3%, and then, of course, CleanSpark up 12.5% yesterday, and Iron up 9% yesterday. So even though a lot of the market didn't fare well, and even TLT was up 0.51%, and it's up 0.37 this morning, looking to get closer to that breakout. So again, I'm not looking to sell anytime right now with TLT. I'm just going to kind of hold the rest I have, a little over $250,000, to let that turn into hopefully a larger number. I mean, this measured move alone could probably turn that into 600,000. I would take that. So we'll just let it sit. But all in all, there's a lot going on today. A whole bunch. And again, I can't believe we're at extreme fear still. I can't believe that. 15 yesterday. I mean, I guess Palantir only went up 0.33. ArcG was down 2.7%. SoFi was up a couple. I don't know. So yesterday was kind of mixed. Hood was only up 1.3%. So maybe the traditional market didn't fare very well. And when we look, you guys tell me what you think about this. I don't know if there's a reason for it. So today we're down in the pre-market. I think that totally makes sense, right? But yesterday, do you guys know, I wasn't paying too much about all the details of the market. Why did health and technology get utterly destroyed yesterday? Can anybody tell me that? Again, we also had spottiness in finance. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Schwab. There was some of that was getting hit too, and a few other areas. Visa didn't do well. But why health and technology? Does anybody know what that was about? I'm just curious. But again, this morning, looking red. I'm not surprised. I don't know. We might have another test down today just because of the fact that, we've got Tariff Liberation Day coming later this afternoon. I did want to mention, though, in news-related events, yesterday we had Israel, so we've already had it Vietnam and now Israel. I might be forgetting another country, too, that announced that they're pulling all of their tariffs against the United States. I think there were some other things that they were going to be removing as well. So that all of that's really cool, and I think good to hear. On top of Tesla Q1 deliveries, and I think, let me just check real quickly and see when those are coming out. Let me just back up the truck here real quick. If you guys know off the top of your head, throw it out in the chat. HIMS was up. Yeah, HIMS was up a lot yesterday too. I'm not in it, so I didn't really pay too much attention to it. But yeah, and I don't think we're getting wrecked, Victor. I actually don't think we're getting wrecked. I think today could trade down. We could definitely see that. But I don't think we're getting wrecked. I think it's going to be far from that. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, Tesla. Afternoon, boys, or good morning, depending upon what you like most. AJ, if you look closely, you can count 11 charging stations set up for autonomous charging. I feel like we should look at Tesla first this morning, right? We got the numbers coming out. We probably need to look at this. This was awesome. They also, Elon showed that they took a look. This is crazy. They took a look out the little view hole here. You can kind of fit one person in at a time at the South Pole. This is cool. This is the first time we've ever been over the poles.
This is incredible.
Just never seen a view like this before. Just gorgeous. Newsmax IPO shows the market is still some risk. You know what's fascinating about that? So anecdotally, I want to talk to a few things. Just on that vein of thought before we move further. I normally do this thing where I flip credit cards and I do 0% offers for 18 months. I tried to do that with my wife and myself, and we didn't have a lot of hard inquiries, like maybe just one or two more than what you would probably normally have. Those roll off after 2 years. So I was going to float some debt, use that to pay taxes. Was looking for like $200,000, right? Like nothing too crazy, or at least not for me. But I was looking for some zero, 18 months, 21 months, 15 if I have to. You can usually get it to where, like, previously, up until recently, maybe you could get it to where you're paying like 3% interest in a year when you annualize it out over 18 or 21 months, including the fee and then the 0% offer. So it's a nice way to just get really cheap capital to be able to pay debts. That did not work this time. So I wanted to speak to that because I think that shows the tightness of credit markets and the fact that something has changed, because I've been doing that for like a decade. Maybe longer. And it didn't work, in that it didn't work with 825 to 840 credit scores and perfect payment histories. So there's definitely something, and they gave me an array of different reasons why they wouldn't do it. I did apply for 3 loans and get 3 car loans. Maybe that's part of it. Could be. But those weren't the reasons given. It was like too many inquiries, even though like I had like 3 over 2 years. It was just weird stuff. And so I just wanted to mention, anecdotally, I'm seeing definitely tightness in the banking sector when it comes to their willingness to pull in large amounts of debt for a 0% offer. And maybe that's just cautiousness from what happened in 2008 when they got royally wrecked, right? But I found that fascinating, so I wanted to throw that out there. Then we have the other end of the spectrum, which you just alluded to a second ago. And it's this latest IPO for Newsmax. So that's fascinating. And it's not just Newsmax. So we've had a few IPOs. Some have been lackluster. Others have been better. I heard Circle IPO is coming too. So we're seeing like some weird stuff from the banking sector where they aren't willing to do a lot of, additional debt gathering, right? But now you have like Newsmax, and now you have a Circle IPO, and these are very much like the things you want to see that show that the stock market is becoming more risk on. So it's kind of a fascinating divergence between the two. I don't know what it means yet, but I like the IPO market taking off, but I'm a little dismayed by the fact, and again, it's like I was just using cheap debt. I cashed out some other stuff now. It's lowered my balance, which sucks, to pay the taxes next week. And I have a lot, right? Like it's probably $150,000 in taxes that I have to pay. It's not fun. Hopefully Andrew soon, but it's doable. But it's interesting to me that all of a sudden has become a problem after at least a decade of me doing this and never having any issues whatsoever, and having pristine credit, like never late on anything, right? Like never late on anything. You guys know me. I filed for bankruptcy a long time, many moons ago, after the great financial crisis, because just bad decision making at the time, and had about $120,000 in credit card debt, something like that, when I filed bankruptcy. And but since then, I have never missed anything. And you'd think with 800 plus credit scores, 825 to 840, and very few inquiries, and never missing a payment on anything, and making revenue of, like, right now I'm probably at $265,000 a year is my latest calculation, along with being a multimillionaire from investments, that you could get like a balance transfer loan, but I couldn't. So I don't know. I just find this fascinating. We're seeing divergence in different things between like these IPO risk on, and we're going to talk about other stuff here too that I think is also equally fascinating. And let me go back. We'll work on Tesla, but I do want to talk about other stuff going on with global liquidity. We got a Michael Howell interview with Forward Guidance today. That was great. I think that's really telling. This is just a beautiful view. I just can't get over this. I can't get over the fact that Elon Musk is bringing us to this place where we just have all these new crazy things happening all the time. Trump's mining company, do they want to IPO? I know they're, so what is it called? American Mining or something? I can't even remember. It ties in with the acquisition that was just recently done for Hut 8, where there was like a company underneath of it. I don't know all the details, but I don't know if they bought like a miner, a subsidiary under it, what it all looks like. There was a space yesterday, the first one from American Mining. Yeah, American Mining plus Hut 8, and I don't know what all that means yet, but there was a space where Eric Trump and the heads of American Mining had their first space. I want to watch it today. That's one of the things I'm going to do, along with rewatching Michael Howell's latest interview, which I just went through this morning. But there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on, a lot of beautiful stuff, and also Neuralink is talking about using what is it, blind sight or something like that soon. I think that's one of the images I'll have in here to be able to help blind people see. There's just so much good stuff, guys. So many amazing things happening right now. History Guy Scalp says, my main hedge is 16 April VIX, 20 calls. Problem is always when you take them off for profit or small loss. Are you hedged at all here? I'm hedged with TLT. That's my hedge right now, because I think if anything, we're likely to see bond yields continue to crash, and I'm seeing that real quick here too. So yesterday we did close down. We broke down underneath the 200 moving average on the monthly time frame, and again, higher or lower highs have been established, and this is a rising, broadening pattern or a megaphone. It wants to break down. Its measured move is probably something similar to kind of like what the heart line is on it, or what the midpoint is. And so this thing can go low. It can go low. It doesn't have to go all the way down here. I think the chance of us getting into the low threes is really high because, again, this meets and aligns with the goals of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about on the U.S. economic front here in a little bit. But I do think that we're going to see that go lower. I got some China stuff to talk. Oh, I got so much stuff to talk about, guys. We better move. Real quickly though, economic data. So we did get some out already today. We have the ADP employment change at 7:15. I really like this in regard to employment data because it is literally, this is the largest payroll processor in the country. And this is tied in with their API, and it's not easily falsified, right? Like this is true data. So I'm stoked to see this at 7:15 and see what it says. We also have, and we'll talk about the LMI Logistics Manager Index in a second. That came out at 5. But we have that. We have factory orders. We have factory orders, X transportation. We have a bunch of inventory shit. So that's pretty much where it ends. It's going to be factory orders and ADP employment. So just till 9 o'clock today. And then again, the big stuff comes tomorrow, where we get exports, imports, jobs, S&P Global, ISM services, like all this stuff. And then the big dogs are coming in Friday. And we also have Papa Powell talking on Friday. So there's a lot coming up. Real quickly, LMI Logistics Managers Index. If we look here, we do see a drop. So we see a pretty precipitous drop on this for the March timeframe. Now, when I'm glancing at it, I see some of the biggest drops are in warehousing and transportation utilization. So I don't know exactly how that differs from warehousing and transportation capacity. I mean, I guess I kind of do, right? But I don't know the nuances of why these two are diverging from each other. Because warehousing is up 1.8, transportation was down negative 1.6, but warehousing, the utilization was down significantly in comparison, and so was the transportation utilization. So I'm not sure. I got to think through that on like what's a leading indicator and what it all means. CPI next week. Yep. Lots of stuff going on there. Victor says that would have been, let me go up a little bit higher. Victor says, I heard in Spanish crypto news that American Mining wants to IPO. Oh, okay. That's where you heard that. Sidvid 2007. Yeah, saw that, the feed yesterday, and wondered if it would help my CleanSpark or MSTU. CleanSpark did really good yesterday. Does anybody have news on that? I saw Rex doing a post complaining about CleanSpark, about the fact that Fred Thiel with Mara, and then I don't remember if it was HUD or somebody like that had kind of paid for play with the Trump administration, and so they're getting more recognition. They're getting brought to the Crypto Council, yada yada yada. I mean, I don't know if it was that or not. I do know Mara has a much larger Bitcoin stash, so I could see them bringing Mara to the Crypto Summit for that reason. But I haven't heard anything else about CleanSpark outside of that. But it did really, really well when compared to a lot of the other miners. We probably could. I mean, again, so if today after 4 o'clock, if we get that pop that I'm thinking on Bitcoin, then yeah, it could be interesting. Ariel says, Victor says, I wonder why wouldn't CleanSpark be considered being called the American mining company? I mean, they are one of the premium mining companies. They're very much a clean play, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's all kinds of good plays. I think Mara is great from the Bitcoin stack and from overall hash rate. They're wonderful, and they adapt a lot and they try a lot of new things. And sometimes that's a great approach, right? Ariel, Jess, you're definitely right. I work in auto finance and the lenders have tightened for sure. They're overly restrictive. Yeah, so I think that's a general like feeling across the board in the finance sector. So I just wanted to bring that up because again, we're seeing weirdness. We're seeing like stock market looking to IPO, but we're seeing in the finance sector banks being very scared to lend. Does some of that change when the supplemental leverage ratio gets adjusted and we drop another 50 bips? Because of Scott Bessent. Does that change, if the Fed starts to lower rates in May and if some other economic data changes? I don't know. Maybe lending is tight for a short period of time until we see data showing that we're going up and that up and to the right in regard to, construction and companies coming into the United States and hiring and all these other things. Or just when taxes start to go down and people prepare for it. In the late second half of this year. I don't know. But it is interesting, and it's something that we should probably take note of and monitor. Why there is a downtrend in the usage? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll try and dig through some of this. If anybody has any ideas, I'd be curious to know what your thoughts might be. Tyler Casamente said volume was high. Yep. In regard to the short squeeze. Yeah, I don't know what the exact short percentage is right now. Somebody could probably look that up. If you grok it, you could probably find it. I do believe that they pull from, I don't remember that site I used to use. It's not Apex. I feel like it's something else. ADP is out. Let's get to it. Thank you for keeping me on task. Let's get to it. All right, pulling up ADP. 155,000. Wow. Previous was 84. Consensus was 105. Forecast was 60,000. We get 155 5,000 new jobs on the payroll. What the actual fuck? 1 second. We're going to listen here real quickly to Steve Leisman. This is crazy, actually. This is good. He's got a breakdown, too. Let's go back. Thank you for that heads up. Let's watch this.
Who's got the numbers?
Thanks very much, Andrew. March ADP payrolls coming in at 155. It's good economic news. Have been a little.
Hey, Jesse Paul here. Yeah, I do own Bitcoin, but I don't talk about my Bitcoin at all. I found that that's not the right thing to do. So I never speak of it. I don't include it in anything.
Short of that stuff. Now we got some.
And incremental buying is brilliant. DCAing into Bitcoin. I mean, right now, honestly, I think is a great time to buy, to load the boat, because we're just barely over the highs of what we were 4 years ago. But DCAing is brilliant. But right now, if I was new to this, I would be buying right away if you have a high level of conviction, because you're going to make a lot of money, in my opinion, and you have very little downside risk because we're just, again, near the previous highs of the cycle years ago. And so I would get in, but then DCAing is brilliant. You should always do that with Bitcoin.
Going here, the estimate had been 120,000, but this coming in a little bit hotter with the good sector doing pretty well at 24, and the service.
What did he say? 120,000? So I don't know where he has fucking estimate from, but consensus is 105 and forecast was 60. So it came in a lot more than a little hotter.
Sector powering 132,000 on the plus side.
And I don't know, I don't know where this number is derived from.
There's the estimate for Friday, the BLS number, 140,000. So this on the high side of that. Remember, ADP just doing the private.
I thought we were losing all the jobs and a recession was coming. Somebody please fix it.
Payrolls. And good distribution by business size. Small business coming in plus 52, medium plus 43, and large plus 59,000. Looking at
it's probably not going to help with rate cuts, but it does show that employment isn't crazy weak. And again, I'll take a strong economy over a weak one where we have to cut a bunch of rates any day of the week. Plus, I think there's going to be other things that are driving. I think the global economy is going to be the reason that we end up cutting rates. We'll talk about more of that in a second.
At where the jobs were. Professional business services up 57. It's been a kind of lagging sector, so that's a good sign there. Financial activities doing well. Manufacturing up 21. Leisure and hospitality.
Financial activities and professional business services are in the lead. That's fascinating.
Down at 17. The good part about that is it's been the one that's been leading, and now other sectors look to be stepping up. Educational health services up by 12,000. And the wage numbers coming in tame. When we were concerned about inflation, I guess we're still concerned about it, up 4.6 and 6.5%. These numbers are a little bit hotter than the government.
I actually like that. Again, especially the lower end of the wage spectrum should be making more money. We want these people to make more.
Numbers worth checking out. Andrew, on Friday, what we're looking for, this is good news going into Friday. I will point out that ADP has been running about plus or minus 100,000 different from the BLS private number. So there's been a divergence there in what ADP has been reporting. But for Friday, we're looking at the government numbers, and I'm seeing estimates right now.
See, that's the thing. Mike, sorry, Steve. Sorry, I'm going to put you on hold for a sec. Mike Lauk, thank you. I love that statement. Very good question. Are fired government employees already melting into the private sector? Yes, I think they are. And I'm not sure about all government employees. Again, we've only let go so many. Almost all the ones I've seen are more voluntary. There are people that have been fired, but a lot of them have been voluntary. Probably not so much for USAID. Don't tell anybody. But I think either way, they're giving them severance. And so, again, we have people that are getting paid at least until September, right? So you got these people still getting paid, and then at the same time, they got to get a fucking job. So I think they're starting to enter the private sector. So this is one of my theses. So I think between now and September, we see unemployment doing really, really well because any jobs that are lost are getting pushed away by people that are having to enter the private sector. And I'm really glad you made that point. I think that's exactly what's happening, dude. I think and it's amazing, right? This is so good.
Now of something like,
because I haven't seen a lot of recessions. Guys, tell me if you see them, but I haven't seen a lot of recessions where unemployment didn't go up, right? So if the unemployment doesn't go up, maybe we're going to be okay, at least for now.
From the federal side, minus 10 to minus 20 from.
Yes, in some cases. That's the offer. And it's a brilliant offer, History Guy Scalps, because what you want to do is you want to ensure that people are like, oh, you know what? I trust the government bond market again, because the government is actually making it to where they're on a sustainable path in the future where they're going to be, where they might even have a balanced budget. And how many countries have a balanced budget? It ain't fucking China. It ain't a decent amount of Europe. Even though some are good, like some have been fiscally responsible, like Germany, but they've got other problems. I don't want to even want to go there. Like removing nuclear reactors. I'm just got to say it. How fucking stupid is that? But outside of that, again, they're not big spenders. But now America, being all these pro-growth policies and then also working on a balanced budget makes it to where people like our bond market again. So at the same time, we're alleviating future debts and making it to where we're on a sustainable course, but we're also not screwing our unemployment number over the same time and allowing a period of transition where these people can move into the private sector without any of the data getting really beat. And instead maybe turning positive on top of that. I think it's just brilliant. I thought it was brilliant from the day they started doing it and talking about severance, and it's playing out exactly like I would expect.
From the federal government. The first year of the Trump administration, when he put that hiring freeze in place, they were down just 17,000 in that first year, but this might be more serious. You know that the federal government loses, or just regular attrition and separations in total, about 30,000 a month. Of course, not all jobs have been subject to the DOGE job cuts, but that is going to be one place where to drag. And the question is, does the private sector step up? That's the question for Friday.
Yes, you dipshit. For exactly the reasons I said. You don't technically have them being unemployed, and they're still making money. So yes, it's going to be a net positive. Think about it, Steve. You've had this fucking job for how many decades?
Friday.
Put your head in the head of Jay Powell watching all of this. Of course, he's probably going to be watching at 4 p.m. too to hear what the president has to say about tariffs. Of course, I don't know if he can if there's a move for him to make it relating to it, only because he's got to be data dependent and wait 3 months before he hears
I could show you
what the true impact is.
I need to update my portfolio. So I think this is all bullshit anyway. We got what I was interested in, so we're done with this. So somebody was asking about MSTR and MSTU, MSTX, all that stuff. So my portfolio, the last time I updated it, let's just jump over here real quick. It's not too crazy different than this. I still have to update it. I've just been busy. If you look over here, my TLT is significantly lower because I've been buying into the drop. And when was the last time I updated it? I don't even know. What does it say here? March 9th. Okay, so that's been, 3 weeks. That's a long time. I should probably work on it. So what's happened is the TLT is down to just a piddly amount. It's probably like 7% of my portfolio right now. MSTX and MSTU, which made up 26% of my portfolio, has dropped too because I've been buying more Mara calls, ArcG calls, Clean Spark calls, Iron calls, just diversifying some of my risk. And then also, again, I took some cash out to pay for taxes. So this thing has changed a little bit. Should you sell some MSTR or MSTX? I personally wouldn't sell a lot unless you're looking to move into like a higher leverage vehicle. That's just me, though. Not a financial advisor, just some dude in his basement. But I did, I do believe that it's going to do well. And it seems like a lot of people were very interested in that post because I got 1,300 likes on this one where I said, who's ready for MicroStrategy $800? I know I am. I do believe this is very feasible in like the next 6 months. So am I buying any Tesla leaps? I don't know. I haven't yet. And it's been going up pretty good. So I don't know if I'm going to buy Tesla leaps, but I do have a lot in Tesla related, or TSLL. I have 355,000 in that. Let me just pull this up real quick. I have 355,000 in TSLL just in this one account, and then I've got some other. So I'm sitting close to $400,000 on Tesla right now. So I do have a decent amount, I feel like, and I might end up, if we get any kind of weird big drops, the next thing I probably would buy, as long as I'm not lazy, is going to be Tesla calls. And again, I've kind of listed some prices that interest me. But no, so I think with MicroStrategy, though, getting back to that, I think there's a lot of upside in front of us. I talked about how we'd perfectly back tested this previous channel that goes back 3 months. And that, so we hit the 200 moving average on the daily, which is good. We bounced off of it with strength, got up to the 100, basically up to the top of our 150 moving averages, rejected off of that, back tested perfectly, now jumped above the fib, the second fib level, and now we look like we want to test up again back to 340, and then it's going to be the 400 range. Once we get to 400, we have all the volume underneath of us, essentially. There's some really old historical volume back from the .com bubble with this company, but it looks beautiful. And so I think it would be a quick shot into the 500s. And then again, I think it's very easy for us to get to 800 this cycle. So me personally, I'm not getting rid of them. Like I have sold some MSTU and MSTX and I posted about it, but that was just to diversify into other bets that could give me even higher returns. So I'm dialing in on leverage right now. I'm not pulling away from it, just to be clear. So anyway, what else we got? Mortgage rates are coming down. Again, I think it's not the lowest level. The lowest level that we had was 6.13 before we had this craziness where we started bouncing back up again. I do think, though, that rates are going to drop under 6 probably by June. By June, I think we'll be under 6 and we'll be in the 5% range on mortgage rates. And I think that's going to be a much better number, a much more palatable number for people to deal with. Again, the next data is coming out at 9. So it's 7:30 right now. We got about an hour until the market opens, and we got about an hour and a half until that data point comes out. Let's rock and roll here and go through some cool shit. Markets are so cooked. In 2022, again, this might go for years. Don't like what's going on. Bearish is your name. I don't think it's anything like that. I don't think it's anything like that. Even Michael Howell, who's worried about global liquidity concerns, doesn't think it's like that. And we'll talk about that in a second, though. I don't want to get to that yet. We'll get there in a bit. Yeah, 9209 on TLT, getting ready to break out of an inverse head and shoulders. You gotta love it. All right, so the rate of improvement is indeed rapid. There will be a legion of Optimus robots this year. I think a legion is 5,000. Can you guys correct me on that if I'm wrong? So this is cool, right? This is I think they did this because Figure had a video of their robot walking more smoothly, and I think they wanted to just show that they can do the same. But it's nice. Like, look at that. Cool looking Optimus. And again, you got all these charging bays. You got a couple of Optimuses charging over here. I think we saw in the video, a total of 12. That's like 5 there and 6 in the other one. So like 11 or 12 charging bays with these robots, which is awesome. Tesla Chan, this is amazing. So this is Optimus. Do we know what time Tesla Q1 deliveries get delivered? Yes, we'll talk about that in a second. It's actually coming out. Oh, sorry, I should have said that. It comes out, I believe, in 30 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's kind of why we're starting with Tesla today, because of all the fun. I want you to watch this video, though. Very exciting. Watch what Tesla does when the road just comes to a fucking end. Here we go.
哎，我操，还在冲啊，哥们儿！哎，好，死着。我操，10秒，能这样冲？我操，我操，我操！不是为啥前面还有这？
Literally does the right thing.
我操，这不是那可能有点看不懂。
And you can tell that the Chinese riders are like, whoa, I can't believe that just worked.
有点这个。哎，哥们儿。
Look at this.
哎，哥们儿，你他妈这什么走位啊？
Again, China has some of the craziest driving in the world, maybe outside of India and a few other places, but this is cool.
哎，哥，你他妈直行，你跟着别人右转。哎呦我靠，他跟着别人，我操，不是你这样走的，你这样乱走啊！你别学这些人，你排队。
How often do I use it? Literally every day. Every day. I use it all the time. There's times where I just want to speed and have some fun in my truck. But every time where I need to focus on something else, or I just need a break, and it's like every time it's thick traffic, I switch to FSD immediately, even if I don't have a destination, and I just let it go. And then there's like standard, there's chill, there's standard, and there's hurry modes. I'll keep it in standard if I just don't want to do too many lane changes and just kind of want to move every once in a while. Chill will keep you in the right lane. Hurry will try and keep you in the left lane. Standard will kind of move along in between those two states. So I use that all the time, every day, literally every day. I love it. It's beautiful. It only gets better. I look at it as being safer than me. If anything, the problem I have with it is it sometimes is like extra cautious. That's literally it. It is. At FSD scale, and I'm sure of that, and that they're going to meet their June date because they've got an even more, awesome release that they're getting ready to push out. So it's amazing, it's amazing, and these videos just do a good job showing how amazing it is.
Yeah, 我操！
Look at that, all this
你他妈
craziness.
真会学。
So it like goes around, but then it still kind of
他
stays
学
where
着
it
这
needs
些
to
人走
stay.
到这里来不排队，刚刚那里排太长了。啊，他这。
Again, these guys are just like, how is this even working? And there's more to the video, but it's really cool. Like, just look at this lane splitting here. This is what you call lane splitting, where you have a bike or a motorcycle that's kind of in your way. Look at this, look at this, look at this. The bike's over there, the semi, the car.
他要去超车啊！哥们
Just
儿
look at this.
哥们儿，你这走位我是真没见过。你今天什么情况？
我们其实一直在非机动车里面，
I
是
mean,
吧？
look at this.
他没有交规的，他过不去，他要去。
Look at this.
你去个锤！
You see how it's driving down the line? It's literally on the line or over the line, just like a human being would do.
因此他已经放弃了，这就是当正常车道开的。
That's how smart it's getting. It's so good. If you guys don't ever use it, you need to, man. It's amazing. All right. This was great. If you didn't see this yesterday on Fox News, prosecution is coming for the leaders of these Tesla movements that are working to incite violence and in some case documenting the things that they want to do. Listen to this, Elon Musk yesterday.
Little bit about some of the anti-Tesla violence. Your car company was.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it was a leftist dream come true.
What version do you have, Todd? I never have those issues. Do you have hardware 4 too? Hardware 4 is better.
It was technologically advanced. It was the word of mouth was better than any car company, arguably, on the market. And now the left is trying to make it a pariah by tying their anti-Elon politics to violence. How do you talk the unhinged?
It doesn't matter if Moody's cuts the U.S. rating. It mattered more. Sorry, we'll finish this. So somebody said, will Moody cut the U.S. rating? Sounds like they will. LW Crypto said that. Why does it matter? It mattered when we were completely irresponsible and not looking to lower our federal deficits at all, and weren't looking to optimize or eliminate entire departments of the government and go through the entire thing and renovate and update it from standards from 70 years ago in some cases, where we had retirement systems that were sitting in mountains with paperwork, in some cases for one person that took up an entire fucking pallet. So we're fixing all these systems, digitizing all of these systems, and improving on everything. Does anybody give a shit if Moody's lowers our credit rating? I don't. Now, when we were on a completely unsustainable course, we weren't looking at growth. We weren't looking at making it to where America has manufacturing in the country again, and we weren't looking to do all this innovation, I would have been more worried. I'm not right now.
Off the ledge. And how do you counter that violence that you're seeing at Tesla dealerships?
Yes, it is remarkable that there is so much violence. People have burnt cars, they've fired bullets into dealerships, they've scratched swastikas into Teslas of innocent people they're just going about their lives. They've done nothing wrong. And Tesla's done nothing wrong as a company. And so I find it ironic and incredibly hypocritical that the same Democrat politicians who would want to throw someone in prison for 20 years simply for watching things at January 6th, but not actually doing any violence, you don't hear a single word from them about the actual violence happening against Tesla. What incredible hypocrites they are. It's outrageous. I mean, really, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism. It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing and paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after, because the people who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they're the foot soldiers. Right. But we need to go after the generals, and we're going to do so. The president has made it very clear that we're going to go after those that are paying and organizing these violent attacks. And Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
This is the good part.
We know. We do.
Yes, and hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes the penalties even more serious. And now to Jessica.
Yes, absolutely. These are serious crimes where the organizers and pushers of mass violence will go to prison for a very long time.
That's right. Okay.
And I hope they see this segment.
Yeah, baby, it's on. Anyway, I wanted you guys to see that. I think it's great. We have about 22 minutes until we get that the Tesla delivery numbers. That should be amazing. We were talking about the Moody's lowering the credit rating. Debo said that that rates would go up. I actually don't. I think on paper, yes, that's what's supposed to happen. I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I think that people are. I mean, again, we've seen days where the 10-year should be going up based on the data that we're seeing, right? But yet at the same time, it's not. It's going down. So I think the narratives that are out there and the reality of what we're seeing are different things, and I think that will continue to be proven out. We've got somebody's talking here on CNBC. They're saying U.S. dollar faces tariff test. Kind of interested in what they're saying, but whatever. We'll see. Elon Musk, as I said a few years ago, the AI scaling constraint will move from chips to voltage transformers to electricity generation. So he's saying this off of a post from Mike Benz talking about how there's a project in China that will be unbelievable edge for decades in energy dominance, costs $137 billion, which is just 20% of a single year of the Pentagon budget. Is there any reason we couldn't slash 20% of the Pentagon to do something similar? So in what they were talking about is a dam that's even bigger than the Three Gorges Dam, which I think is insane. It's also meant to control water supply to India. There's a lot of geopolitical stuff going on there that I won't go into right now. But I do think Elon's 100% right. Energy, voltage transformers, I don't know the science behind why that's such a big focus, but I'm sure it just ties in with the energy generation. But this is the other thing. So we got chips. We're winning. We will continue to win. I have no doubt of that. But we're better at software, and again, we're not a corrupt top-down communist regime. So we're winning, right? But on electricity generation, we are not, and that's what we have to fix. And I think that's why Elon is putting this out into focus right now. Tesla bouncing? Yeah, the market seems to be bouncing a little bit. I actually don't know if today's a down day or not. We'll see. Sawyer Merritt, Texas State Senator Joanne Huffman. So yeah, this was the other day talking about how that people might get 2 to 10 years in prison if they fuck around. They're going to find out. We talked about some of the rest of this. Yeah, I think we're good there. So I want to jump real quickly. We got a lot of other things before we get back to Tesla, because there's so much to talk about there. Let's go to China real quick, and then we got a few other things. I just wanted to point out a couple of posts that I did today. China's net liquidity injections are on an unsustainable path, especially if we go hard on tariffs and they don't relent. So this is from Cost Border Capital's interview with Forward Guidance today. And it just shows the People's Bank net liquidity injections into the market since 2021. You can see the path, right? And this is good for global liquidity. It's good for helping Bitcoin. I love all that. And Michael Howell talks about how the fact that they need to devalue the yuan against gold, which has been going up in value a lot, which is going to help them, right? But wouldn't it be funny if we revalued our gold and then dumped not our gold, but the paper treasury gold issuance into the market and drop the price of gold? Because I can tell you this, my friend James Thorne, I think it is, my Canadian brother from another mother, he talked about how gold is on a parabolic move. It's in parabola right now, right? Like this is parabola. So you had years of consolidation and nothingness. You had finally, oh, hey, we're breaking out. You had a measured move on that. You went a little bit higher. You got up here. You broke down. You have a cup and handle. So let's just put this here. Or honestly, not even a cup and handle. This is a shoulder, kind of. It doesn't go all the way up. And then the head, and then a shoulder. But either way, cup and handle, shoulder, we don't really give two shits. You know why we don't care? Because they all kind of do the same thing. And let's just call the breakout like over here. So can we get up higher? Yes, we can. But you know what happens? Then it fucking crashes, because that's what happens with parabola. It only goes to the moon for so long before it comes back down to Earth. So I would make the argument that this thing right now, at least in regard to GLD, this isn't actual gold, but the charts are very similar, so we'll just use it, that we have roughly an upside potential. Let me just draw this out real quick while I'm thinking about it. Oh, that ain't it. That ain't it. Let's go back. We have how much upside in gold? About maybe 10 to 12%. And then it's game over. So I think what we're going to see is I think we're going to see the U.S. dumping not necessarily physical gold holdings, but paper gold onto the market, lowering the price, dumping into this momentum, kind of fucking China a little bit at the same time, which is good. We want to fuck China. We want to fuck them a lot. Sorry if anybody's got their kids watching. We want to mess with them, right? So this would be a way to be able to do that with some of our not the physical gold but paper gold, in order to be able, because again, our valuation of gold, guys, and the Treasury Secretary said he wouldn't do this, right? But I don't know. He said he had no plans to do it now. I think it was something like that. But if they revalued the gold, I want to say gold per ounce is like $40 on the books in the United States. Not the 3,000 per ounce, but 40. And so if they revalued some of this stuff and played around with it, they could make it to where we do all kinds of stuff, like getting rid of some of this paper gold to buy Bitcoin, which Cynthia Loomis, I think, was talking to, or maybe it was Bo Hines or one of these other people. All these things are very real, and I think they're coming, and I think it's brilliant, and I'm very excited to see where it takes us. But I wanted to talk about that just for a second since we were on this China note here. And let's see what else we have here, if anything. Neo. Oh, just me shitting on Neo. That's always a fun thing. Defense and war. I wanted to talk to this real quickly because, again, I think it's very important before we get our Tesla-related data here. I think we're getting ready to attack Iran in a major way. Everything I see is telling me that. We've got training going on right now with Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, the United States, and Israel. Did you know this? Did you know that all of these guys are in Greece training together for attacks? They're not in the Middle East. They're not under NATO command, but in a neutral airspace far from the media spotlight. They put Iran, Syria, full-scale regional escalation. No, I think it's to attack Iran. And again, I think we're the ones attacking Iran, and I think Israel might play a part too. But I don't know about the UAE or Qatar. Again, Qatar has helped fund terror, which is interesting. But sometimes your enemy is your friend. We do have 6 B-2 bombers that are sitting in the support facility, Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is supposed to end up getting sold to a Chinese firm in the not-too-distant future, which is fascinating. But yeah, so we've got these bombers sitting here. These bombers can reach Iran. We have NBC News reporting that the Pentagon has ordered the relocation of at least 2 U.S. Army MIM-104 Patriot surface-to-air missile batteries and a terminal high-altitude air defense system, THAAD, from Asia to the Middle East in the past few days as tensions with Iran grow. There's a bunch more than that, guys. There's a bunch more. But I think what's getting ready to happen... and here's more surveillance footage. What does this say? The USS Carl Vinson and several other ships with the carrier Strike Group 1 spotted earlier today on satellite imagery transiting west through Sulu Sea in the Philippines en route to the Middle East. This includes a missile cruiser, a guided missile destroyer, and a U.S. Williams P. Lawrence. So we've got heavy assets moving into the region. And we're gonna we could talk about that more in a second here. I actually might even have a video in regard to the paper gold thing that I was talking about. I might have a video. Otherwise, we could save it for another one. U.S. Homeland Security News. These guys kind of have to watch for the reality and decipher what's real and what isn't. But it says U.S. Air Forces in the Middle East on alert. C-17 military transport planes are delivering Patriot missile battery defenses to ISA Air Base in Bahrain. 100 miles from Iran, rapidly deployed from South Korea. The U.S. is preparing for a major war against Iran after Iran threatened to destroy all U.S. bases in the Middle East. This is happening. Relentless U.S. cargo planes are pouring into the Middle East, signaling a looming escalation. Yeah. Oh, hey, another cool thing, not related to this, but we actually, the XB-1 just did a supersonic flight without a sonic boom. That's the first time in history we've seen anything like that. The White House said that if Iran doesn't surrender its nukes, the U.S. will be activating a massive operation to end their nuclear program permanently. This is what's happening, okay? So whether you understand this or paying attention to it doesn't really matter. It's coming fast. And I think that it will propel Bitcoin higher because that's what happened when the Russian invasion occurred. And the 3-month running total of returns after the Russian escalation with Ukraine was higher for Bitcoin than versus any other asset class. So remember that. I think it's important too. Let's go to U.S. economy. And again, we got about 13 minutes and we'll be getting data. If you guys see anything come out in regard to the Tesla deliveries before I do, let me know. There's always somebody that's going to be faster at posting it, so I'm just going to retweet them. It'll just be easier that way. All right, so this is Seth Golden, who I love. He said a bad omen. The NOPE index, so this is new orders minus price, broke below negative 20 for the first time since 2022. Regardless of what's announced on Liberation Day, it's obvious that tariffs have already had a big impact on the manufacturing figures. I don't know if you responded to me on this. I probably should look. Oh, hey, wait. It's a double negative. Self-inflicted price increases due to need for labor, first level increases pull forward. Then the actual tariff price increase and assuming constant demand, only prices actually come down as if demand falls and stops. So that's what I actually believe is going to happen. So we probably need to have a conversation, Seth. Only way prices actually come down is if demand falls stops, whereby the material supplies needed for the goods processing is no longer in demand or orders falter. Discounts then offered to reduce inventory. So I actually think that's the majority of what's going to happen. This is the thing that I don't think people realize. When there's this, Milton Friedman talks about the fact that oh wow, we have the Ontario Premier talking about tariffs. I'm going to have to jump to that in a second too. But Milton Friedman talks about how there isn't the only way that you truly have inflation is when you increase the money supply. It's not when you have things like this occur, because what you have happen for the most part, not for everything, but in most scenarios, is the supplier country that's getting tariffed, especially if there's a trade imbalance where we have all the power, right? They do all their trade with us. We don't do all of our trade with them. Our trade, did you guys know that the U.S. economy, what is the trade, what percentage of trade actually impacts? What percentage, I want to make sure I get the right figure. What percentage of GDP is trade in the USA? All right, we'll just let that grind. I think it's 25%, maybe it's even less, of our GDP is trade related. So we're actually not greatly impacted versus other countries in the world like China, which have a massive amount of their GDP coming from trade because they have no service-based economy. So yeah, 24.9% is what the World Trade Bank data showed for 2023 for the amount of trade in regard to GDP for the U.S. economy. So it's not actually a huge number. Now, what is that same number for China? We can run this with other stuff too. So, but Milton Friedman would say that these imbalances end up correcting themselves because you don't have an increase in money supply. You have the same money supply essentially. So people only have so much that they can devote towards the price of goods, right? So they're going to make decisions about, do I want to buy the increased tariff thing, or do I want to hold off on that and then keep my money in other things, or look for places where it might be cheaper? And like on Amazon, somebody's going to look for what's cheaper, and then Amazon's going to push the things that are cheaper, that are the most popular. So if it isn't China anymore and it's someplace in the United States, you're going to see a lot more of that. And so it's the end-tariffed country that ends up hurting the most, especially when, again, we are the ones that do all the buying and they are the ones that do all the selling. Because it's not like, and you might have, again, this is the thing I love so much, you might have other countries around the world inflating their currencies, pushing up the price of Bitcoin, experiencing capital outflows, and maybe in cases they can drive up the price of some goods. But again, that helps Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin becomes the hedge because they're inflating the money supply. But if we're not the ones inflating the money supply, we're the ones still doing a bunch of purchasing. We still have a strong economy. We're still pro-growth. I think that the other countries around the world falter while we succeed. And at the very least, I think Bitcoin ends up succeeding because people are going to want to get away from monetary debasement. So the long-winded version of this, getting closer to that time for those Tesla delivery numbers, is that I think the NOPE indicator is a contrary indicator. I think that if we look over here in 2008, we can see that when this thing got to the bottom, the markets were at the bottom. And again, we're over here in that negative 20 range. In the pandemic, we hit that negative 20 range, right? Actually, in 2022, probably, we hit that negative range. And we're back at it now. So I think it's a contrary indicator. I actually don't think it's going to be a really bad thing. I'm okay with it. Now, I want to go back because we need to hear what this dipshit in Ontario, Doug Ford, has to say. He's the same one that I think wanted to shut off energy in a large swath of the United States. So let's listen to what kind of threats he's throwing out right now, or if they're looking more conciliatory. This should be fascinating. Let's find out. And then, did we get deliveries? Did we get them? Oh, or is that just an estimate? Rivian delivered 8,640 vehicles in Q1 of 2025, down 36%. Yeah, they've got that ramp of that new vehicle. Yeah, they're fucked. They're fucked. They're so fucked. If you guys get Tesla deliveries before me, let me know. I'm going to have a query running up over here that's going to be showing us. So Oh, also, we're going to listen to FunStrat in a little bit, guys. So we're going to listen to Doug Ford here. Then we're going to check out Tesla delivery data. And then I'm going to give you guys a freebie on FunStrat where we're going to go through and we're going to watch his latest video that came out this morning. It's a long one. I normally don't do this. I do it every once in a while, but it's 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And you guys are going to get the skinny on everything that he has to talk about. All right, let me move this over. There we go.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. U.S. tariffs.
He's conservative, but identifies as a liberal. You guys are great. I love you.
This set to take effect today, and our next guest has been a strong critic of the Trump administration's trade policies. Joining us right now, Ontario Premier Doug Ford. We very much appreciate you joining us this morning. I imagine you're going to be watching and listening to the president later today. But even before we get there, have you had any meaningful conversations with this administration about what these tariffs could look like?
I have, Andrew, and first of all, thanks for having me on. I always start every interview. Canadians love Americans. I love America,
but we don't want to lower our tariffs, so fuck you.
They're just an incredible neighbor. And saying all that, I had a conversation last week with Secretary Lutnick, and just told him how we feel. And it's going to hurt Americans. It's going to hurt American jobs.
Yeah, fuck you, buddy. You trade way more with us than we trade with you.
It's going to hurt investments. We've seen the market tumble. I'm sure it's going to start tumbling again today because people don't want uncertainty. Markets don't want uncertainty. And I've never seen anything like it. Attacking your number one customer, President Trump is, not the American people. President Trump's attacking their number one ally, their number one customer. And it's going to be unfortunate. He calls it Liberation Day. I call it Termination Day because people are going to be losing their jobs across the U.S. You can't just all of a sudden put tariffs on every part and every widget that comes.
Oh, but wait a second, though. Again, our economy, you make up a tiny little percentage of it. It makes up a small amount of our overall GDP. And we have all these government employees going into the private sector. So Ford, maybe you're the one to get fucked.
Comes across the border. Ontario alone employs over 9 million people. They wake up every single morning to produce products for Ontario. That's Ontario alone, not mentioning the entire country.
Do you expect this to be a negotiation, meaning there has been a sense implied or otherwise that we're going to hear a number, whether it's 20% or something else, as a sort of top, and that if folks like yourself come forward and say, you know what, we're going to take some tariffs off of this and we're going to do this, perhaps that those tariff numbers come down?
Well, let's hope so. Let's sit down and discuss this because it's just going to hurt American jobs. I can't stress it enough. And, you know, again.
Hey, let's talk about Canada. Isn't that where you're from? What does it do for Canada, Doug? Can you give us the skinny on that?
He believes he's supporting Americans. He said he was going to create jobs.
Dude, Howard Lutnick is crushing it. He's got this guy by the balls. Sorry, Canada. We love you. Andy, all you guys, we love you. We love Canada. Here's a very simple thing. You know what Israel did? They removed all their tariffs. Problem solved. Just do that. Be fair. Be fair to us. Be fair to yourself.
Create wealth, reduce.
The entire point of this is reciprocal so that we work with each other more, produce more energy, work more with each other. All you got to do is lower your tariff barriers. That's it. It's not fucking rocket science.
Inflation. It's worked the total opposite. Inflation.
But do you think it's fair that you have tariffs on a whole number of products?
There you go.
That's right.
Whoa.
And we'd be willing to take those off tomorrow.
He's the last person I expected to bring that up.
We are not the problem, Andrew.
Wait a second. What did he say?
You have tariffs on a whole number of products.
That's right. And we'd be willing to take those off tomorrow if he took all the tariffs off.
Well, then do that. That's literally what we're talking about doing.
We are not the problem, Andrew. Do you know the problem is? China's the problem. And
ooh, I do like that. Ooh, this is fascinating.
He's taking a blind eye to China.
We're getting close to Tesla related data, so I might just pause here for a second. But this is fascinating. He's saying China is the problem. I didn't expect that coming out of Doug Ford. Wow. Okay. Andy said the Canadian politicians are simultaneously trying to argue that tariffs are the worst thing in the world, but also that Canada should implement massive retaliatory tariffs. Make this make sense. It doesn't make any sense. But what he just said, so he said two things that are striking to me. One, he said that they would remove tariffs immediately if the United States removed tariffs. That is like conciliatory. Am I saying that right? To me, right? That's him saying that we're ready. We're ready for this to end. You can negotiate that like tomorrow, right? But then at the same time, now he's blaming China. That is another thing. Because again, that's what we're trying to do. We're doing pass-through tariffs for a reason. Yeah, Rivian is trash, macro. Rivian is trash. But this is fascinating. This is fascinating to me, guys. How have we gotten here? I mean, this is a beautiful thing to hear come from Doug Ford. This is beautiful. Let's see, though. Do we have any Tesla news? Tesla deliveries. What do we got? When are these things coming out? Tesla is coming out at 8, right? That's what I believe is normal. 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Am I tripping here, guys? You tell me. You tell me real quick. We're pausing this. I'm gonna jump over real fast over here. I want to see Sawyer. My buddy Sawyer. He's a good dude, actually. I really like Sawyer. Some of these people, like, you get to meet them or chat with them, and they're just like complete dicks. Oh, is it 8:30 Central? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I'll save it. But Sawyer is not one of those people, and most of the Tesla community is honestly just amazing, amazing people. All right, well, if that's the case, let's get back to Dougie.
As they continue to build.
Oh, hey guys, India. Yeah, I didn't even say anything about India. India has agreed to remove, I think it was $23 billion in tariffs from the United States. I don't know what period of time that covers. We can talk about that in a little bit too. Amazing stuff. 323,800 deliveries. Is it out? Did we just get it? Or is it 8? All right, let me get back over here. Tesla is expected to release. Are these the actual numbers? Is that actual? Help me out, guys. Oh, yeah. Quarterly deliveries, 337 versus 380 consensus. Okay, what's Tesla doing? Down 3.53%. This is from Forex Live. Yeah. Production versus 412. Let me see if there's any real good posts from this. I'll just put this one out. Walter's pretty good. Big miss. Yeah. Okay. All right, that happens. Hey, maybe I'll get that time to get the Tesla calls. I got an opportunity. All right, let's look here. Tesla deliveries from Shanghai fell over at 6 straight. But this is normal. This is okay, guys. This is okay. You just remember this, okay? Let's talk about this real quickly. Tesla was ramping their best-selling vehicle. Okay? And literally halted production in Q1 to be able to do this. So remember that. And then let me jump back over here real quick. And then I want to show you some other stuff real fast. And I probably need to refresh to get these to come up in the bookmarks. But there's other things I want to talk about too. And maybe, hopefully they're in here somewhere. Might have to go down a little bit. What do we get for energy? Does anybody know? Let me see. What did we get? Here we go. I got a better one. Did we get any energy-related data? Let me see here. Let me pull this up. But there's a bunch of things I want to talk through. August, first quarter, we produced 360,000, delivered 336, deployed 10 gigawatts of energy. 10 gigawatts of energy. Let's go back here. All right, that's good. So that's right over here. So again, the trend on energy looks really strong. That's good. While the changeover from the Y lines across all 4 of our factories led to the loss of several weeks in Q1 production, the ramp in the new Model Y continues to go well. Thank you. Okay, that's what I want to talk to. Let me get over here. Give me a second. That's good though. So again, 10 is like over here, guys. 10 is like over here, right? So look at the trend since Q1 of 2022. If we're over here now, and again, we had this down quarter. So just like take this, lower this, raise this up, maybe lower this, put that other one in there. You can see that the trend is strongly up, and that's exactly what we want. Q1 especially is not a great time to deploy energy across large swaths of the earth. because of snow and other things. Shouldn't this drop have been priced in already? I kind of think it is. Tesla's down 3.7%. That is not a huge drop. But I want to see, there's some other stuff I want to show you guys. I just got to find the data points. And you know what? I did miss a bunch of stuff. So, again, Starlink getting deployed all over the place. Here's Blindsight. Is it Blindsight? Yeah, Blindsight. This is the one that's going to help people see, yada, yada. I've got so many posts in here. I want to find the right ones. Right here. Like, look at this. Look at this. So Tesla is doing $6 billion quarter in non-auto revenue, energy plus services, growing at 50% annual. That is huge. Let me see here. Let me keep going down. I don't know if they're all in here, but Tesla was the best-selling car in China by far. There's a bunch of other posts. I don't know if I have them bookmarked, but like Norway, Spain, just like record-breaking numbers of deliveries that were all happening in March, okay? Curing the blind, yada, yada, yada. Exactly. It's all about Q2. Yes, Toby Wan, that's what I'm saying. It's all about Q2. That is the only thing that matters. And we're down 4.7 right now. So again, the market is taking this. Let's actually just pull this up. I'll drop this for now over the Bitcoin one. So remember, we were down like 2.5% before market open. Now we're down about 4.57%. I am probably going to look to allocate more in here. I really don't want to. I don't want to. Because I don't want to pull from TLT. I don't want to. Here's my problem. I don't want to take from MSTU or MSTX because I think they have higher returns over the short term. I don't want to take from TLT because I think it's getting ready to be a rocket ship to the moon. So I might just do a small amount of TLT maybe. Because again, we're in a breakout zone. I might do a very tiny amount or just wait. You know what? I'm going to wait. I'm probably going to wait today to see if this drops any more before I buy more because I really think TLT is going to take off and I don't want to butcher my capital. I want to use that opportunity to be able to buy to be able to do well from this. And again, TLT theoretically, you'd think that with prices paid on goods or in the manufacturing sector going up, you would think that you would see TLT underperforming, right? Because prices paid going up means inflation, especially when you see orders going down, like that NOPE index we were talking about, where it's new orders minus the price. That being bad, you would think that if people thought that was going to be bad going forward, they'd be worried about stagflation. If you're worried about stagflation, you're not thinking the Fed's bringing rates lower. And yet we see the 10-year bond and TLT, the 20-year, we see the 10-year continuing to roll over, and we see TLT starting to benefit pretty well. I mean, this is up another 0.74 after 0.51 yesterday. And really, I mean, look at where it was on March 27th, down here at 88.63 and where it is now at 92.19. I think some of those calls will start to do better. So I'm just gonna kind of hold. I think maybe take just a small amount and buy the dip today. I'm in no rush though, because I think this is all about Q2. I strongly believe that. And I think this is a splash in the pan. And I think that very quickly people are going to realize that the opportunity lies ahead in strong fashion. Also, this is not earnings. These are just deliveries. The growth in energy and service and all this other stuff will outweigh this. Plus, we have currency, foreign currency that's going to give us some tailwinds that should help out too. So I think there's going to be, even though Q1 might not be stellar, I think Q2 is going to be sick. And I think we have a lot of tailwinds behind us because I think a lot of the bad stuff is gone. Remember, other car companies are going to get hit massively with tariffs, and we're seeing really great numbers coming out for the Model Y for March. So I think this is going to get so much better. Let me look real quickly. I do want to see if there's any other interesting insights out there. Robotaxi launch in June. Yes, sir. Why is it all about Q2? Because the Model Y will officially be ramped. You got to remember, they were deploying the Model Y ramp on 3 continents at the same time. And they lost weeks of production value across the entirety of the world. That in and of itself explains the drop. Right there. Not to mention all the firebombing and all the bad PR, okay? That in and of itself marks the drop. And even right now on Tesla, guys, we're down 3.72%. This is not the end of the world by any means. It's just not. So I think people are going to look past it fast. I don't even know if I'll get an opportunity to buy the dip, frankly. I just don't. Let's see here. Tesla reports production numbers. Oh, okay. To see if these updated. This is good. I love visuals. So yeah, Q1 looks rough, right? If you don't think about the fact that the Model Y represents almost all these orders, and that, let's see, if they lost, let's say 2 weeks of production in China alone, that's probably like 40,000 cars. Not to mention in Europe, not to mention the United States. So where we ended up here, like we would have probably been more like up here, okay? Up here, which again is not a stellar number, but for Q1, it's not bad. Look over here. We probably would have beat Q1 of last year. If we would have had the Model Y ramped, we probably would have been like up here. We would have beat Q1 of the previous year. So it would have been better year over year. And again, this isn't just a car company. It's not just about the deliveries, even though I think those are going to be amazing soon. Especially because think about all the other car companies. Their prices are going to go up, and they can't fix it. And we're in the European Union, we're going to see even more credits come in for car companies that aren't meeting the standards that are required of them. So we're going to see credits going up, and we're going to see vehicles from all around the world. Mercedes was indicating that some of their top line vehicles are not going to be sold in the United States anymore because the fees are going to be too high. So think about that. If they're not selling those, what's going to happen in the luxury market? Where are people going to go? They're going to go to Tesla. That's my strong conviction. I believe that that's definitely happening. I'm going to put this out here real quick. So I am very positive about this. Now we're down about 4.4% on Tesla when we were already down 2.5% this morning. So I think this will be like a headwind this morning for Tesla. But I think after that, it's just going to get better. I ain't worried about it. That's all I have to say. Ooh, let's see here. What is this? Not only did Elon's candidate lose the Wisconsin... Oh, this bitch. God, some of these people. But today, Tesla delivery numbers dropped in Europe. Leon's having a really bad day. Leon's going to be just fine. France reports down 37%. Netherlands down 61%. Sweden down 64%. Austria, I'm assuming that's Austria, down 34%. Portugal down 2%. Norway down 1%. Again, in March deliveries for Norway were record-breaking. Spain was record-breaking for that. So they're cherry-picking, I think, some of this data, too. Hey, Jesse, could we go through ArcG Technicals? Seems like it's broken the 2016 Sport line. It did, yeah. We could look at some of that. We'll do that a little bit later. You know what? I could look at it real quick. We'll look at it real quick, and then I want to get back into other things. So it did. It fell. It fell hard. But we're still finding support. We're way underneath the volume, peak volume over here at around 26. So that's why I was buying yesterday and why I continue to buy. Could we fall further today? Yes, we could. But really, there's nowhere to go but up. This thing isn't even $1 billion in assets under management. It's not even $1 billion. It's $963 million as of today. If this drops further, I'm just buying. Because all I'm looking for this to do, if this just does what they call a mean reversion, where it just kind of goes back to the neckline on this, it's 100% gain. I get roughly 10x my money on 100% gain, which is a 10x gain. So I think that this is a great opportunity. Heck, even if you're just in the stock, to get back to the previous high, I think it would stop at the golden retracement zone right here at like 70-ish. But if we did what and I've got these things going out to like June. If we did what something like Palantir did, not even what Palantir did, just getting to the previous high, it's 471% in gains. I don't think that's happening, but I can show you. I think I have some of that over here. Let me just check real quick. ArcG, nope, that's CleanSpark. That's Mara. ArcG, okay. So this is just some of my contracts. These are just my June contracts, right? This is priced for what my average is, not for what they currently are. And let's say that ArcG ended up just getting, let's just say it stopped right here up at the 71 mark, right, where you kind of have start to hit volumes again, 71 to 76, right? So just these contracts, which only make up part of my contracts, like less than half probably. If we got up to $76, this just goes up to 74. Let me turn it to 77 to get that peak number where volumes start to kick in again. If we got up to that number, I would make 2,500% off of, and this is if it happened by June of next year, I would make 2,500% off of a 277% move, which is roughly 10x. So I love this. I love this kind of setup. And again, let's say by the end of this year, things start to look better and we just double. Like, what is it at right now? It's at 20-ish dollars roughly. Let's say we double and just get into the 40s by like December. And this isn't even a good contract for me. I get 234%. But again, I think that is easy. I think something like, the 50s and 70s are the real numbers that happen by June of next year. Because again, this is only a 200. This right here would put these guys at less than $2.5 billion in assets under management in the genomic space. So this is a long shot, but if it happens, just in this one contract, I would have, if we got up again just to this level in a year and a half, if we got, let's just say we get up to the $54 level in a year and a half, $54 would get me at 1.62 million, 568% return. So this is like what I believe the worst case scenario to be for these. What do you think your Mara calls can do? I don't think I know. And again, this is only part of it. This is just my December calls. And this is, I think Mara at the bottom ass end of things can get up to 50. I actually think it can go higher than that, but let's just say it goes to 45 or 50 right here between now and December. I can make 1,527% off of 300% in gains. So it's only a 5x return. But there's, and again, so what does that put Mara at? And this is just one of my contracts. This isn't even the bulk of my funds. There's like 60% sitting in other stuff. But if this happened, let's say Mara got up to 45, then I get what? What do I get here? I get 2.13 million off of $139,000 in capital. More than makes up for any losses I have in previous contracts. But let's say that it does something stupid and it ends up going up to 86 because the government is doing. We should talk about Mara. There's just a bunch of stuff going on in government that's very, very interesting. But let's say that for some reason, just in this one contract, we got up to 86. And I do believe that the narrative for Bitcoin is going to get really strong in the future. So if that happened just with this one contract, that is by December, that's almost $8 million off of 139,000 in capital. I'm not saying it's getting there. I think the 40s are more likely. But again, 2 million off of 139,000 in capital. And this is at a higher price point than it's actually trading at today. So somebody coming into this now, I think, gets a better price. But I want to talk real quickly just on that subject before you guys got me sidetracked. We got to get back to other stuff too. But again, Mara announces 25 megawatt micro data center project powered by excess natural gas from oil fields. What's fascinating about this is there's new legislation called the FLARE Act, which will fully expense the infrastructure intended for this purpose. So, and this isn't even including the federal government looking to do something like this, which we're getting hints from people like Bo Hines and Cynthia Loomis that it's going to happen. So I want to talk about that. Jesse, did you mention the year-over-year growth of 156% for Tesla energy storage? Got call as soon as numbers came out. No, I didn't. I didn't look at that number to see what it was year-over-year, but it makes sense. We did look at some of the data for it, and again, it's really good. So let me just go back over here to Tesla. We looked at some of it, right? Let me just refresh here. And we could probably see that just at a glance, because if we look at Tesla Energy, I thought I put that in here? Oh no, you know what? It was way lower. If we look at Tesla Energy here, we can look at, again, what was Q1 of last year. It was down here, right? At right around 4 kilowatts. Or I'm sorry, whatever that is in comparable terms. And we got 10.4 or 10.04 right now. So yeah, massive Q1 to Q1. It was just disgustingly beautiful. Again, I'm not really worried about Tesla's ability to grow at all. I think Q2 is going to be great. So if we get any kind of dip buying, I'm interested. All right, let me get caught up on comments real quick here. Oh, well capitalized. So Archie is a diversified fund. You have to expect everything in the fund to 5x, which is double. Yeah, but it's all about speculation, right? It doesn't. How do I get people to understand this? How do I get people to understand this? I'll do it this way. We hit the trend line. We went from $23 to $31. A 50% gain in this thing in 1 month. Not even. Just off speculation, right? Like, let's just, maybe it was a month. December 16th to, well, no, I guess it was a little over. From peak to trough. Well, no, that's into the 22s. So let's just put it this way: $22.46 to $31, right? So again, well, let's say 50% in a period of 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks. We can jump up 50% off speculation. In fact, I would argue, and again, this is from March of 2020, so let's just ignore that. Let's pretend like that didn't happen and start over here. February of 2020 to January of 2021. So in a period of a year, we went from $37 to $116 off of just euphoria, right? Just excitement about the sector. Now we're down to before this fund was basically essentially when this fund was created on day one, going back to 2015. We're at 2015 valuations in this fund, and it's got less than $1 billion in AUM. If you guys think it's crazy for this thing to go up 200% and become less than $3 billion in AUM, I'm going to disagree with you. I think people will get excited about genomics, and we'll see it go up a ton. Jesse, have you ever heard of James talks negatively about out of the money leaps? I don't understand why. He just has a different approach. He doesn't do the same thing that I do. I've made all my money that way. So he doesn't like it. He plays those leaps more conservatively. He's got a bunch of strategies that I don't use. So again, it's just up to the person, right? But I don't think it's crazy whatsoever for this thing to explode higher in an era of deregulation with pro-growth policies. I think we're in a really good place. We got about 9 minutes till the bell rings. He plays in the money leaps to reduce risk. Yeah, he's not looking for the kind of returns I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for you hit a home run. And I'm doing this based off of a thesis where I believe strongly, and again, this is going to go even lower today, so I'll have to adjust some of these price targets, where I believe strongly that we will see a recovering market later this year. If you don't believe in that, you should be using very small portions of your portfolio to be able to do this, or have it like as a hedge. If you're very much in cash, it might be a good idea to take small percentages of that, maybe 5% allocation towards Archie leaps, maybe 5% towards some kind of Tesla leap, maybe 5% towards, something in the Bitcoin sector. That way you at least have exposure if you're heavy cash. So there's different ways that everybody does stuff. Mine is different. I think mine's better. But I also don't know what James' returns are year over year. I don't know if he publishes that stuff. I do have a membership. I haven't seen it. So if he has it, let me know. I should be looking at it. LW Crypto, let me see. There were a bunch of others. By Archie, you don't think government austerity measures to fix waste and NIH and HHS will impact genomics? No. Actually, I probably think the opposite. I think deregulation will be very beneficial to genomics. I mean, how much was HHS and NIH giving to genomics? Can you tell me that number, Jarrett? Let me know what that number is. If you can give me that number, that would be wonderful. Akash 2000, Jesse, what made you change your opinion on BTC not ending the bull cycle this summer? I never actually thought it was going to end this summer. I've never said that. The only thing I said is that I would remove leverage at the beginning of this summer, but that was making an assumption that we would be at a much higher price point than we are today. That was not with us being, what are we even up? What are we up from where we were from our previous cycle high? Let's just look here. Let me just pull this up higher. I can always bring it down below again. So from where our previous cycle high was, how much are we up right now? Let's just take a look. So we got our 69,000 range. So we are up, Bitcoin's up 22%. So if I would have known that we would only be up 22% right now, because again, there's been a lot of macro geopolitical stuff going on. There's just a lot of stuff, right? If I would have known that people would still be worried about stagflation, which I think is stupid, and that Bitcoin was only up 22% from where it was over 3.5 years ago, if I would have known that, I would have said the cycle is going to be later. But I didn't know that. And so therefore I'm adjusting the cycle out further because it's just not done. We have GameStop at least looking to buy $1.5 billion that isn't priced in, right? We've got Michael Saylor looking to buy at least another 20 billion more. We've got our government saying that they're going to try and buy 1 million Bitcoin. We'll look at some of that in a second. But yeah, so my thesis hasn't changed at all. I've adjusted my timeline based on the fact that the details of the macro environment and just the overall fundamentals of what we're looking at are better than I would have ever expected. And yet we haven't seen the returns that we expect. Again, I am a Warren Buffett type investor in regard to the fact that the price action does not decide my investment thesis. My investment thesis is based upon reality and facts and projections of the future. Now, so it's what I think it's going to be worth in the future. It's not what the price has done. What the price has done just helps me with entries and exits, okay? It's not my thesis. I think people really need to figure that shit out. If your thesis is it hasn't done well, therefore I should sell, then you're going to constantly get fucked in the markets over and over again. Oh, I was going to make a joke, but it's just super dark, so I'm not going to say it. Just going to move on. All right, let's do this. So let's get through. So I kind of agree with Seth, but I think Seth also, is a liberal. Seth, if you're watching, tell me. I think he's a liberal. So I think he's a little overly biased towards negativity with Trump. And maybe he's, no, you don't want to. No, it's so inappropriate. Something about getting raped, but it was even like more worse because it tied in Islam and a bunch of other stuff. We're just going to skip it, okay? For everybody's sake, we're going to skip it. But let's keep going. We got good stuff. I tried to answer some of the harder questions. Hopefully I got them. Hopefully I got them with the ARKG. I was able to hopefully give you some thoughts. Tesla, again, I'm super bullish. That hasn't changed. Really good things coming in Q2. And again, the economy, I'm very excited about it. I think it's really hard to have a recession when your ADP employment data is like double the expectations of consensus and forecast on average. I think it's really good. I wanted to talk about something else that we're doing better in the United States that we're going to be doing even better in the future. And we're going to look at a few charts about it. I put in the UK, people are paying 38 cents per kilowatt hour for energy. Here in the USA, I'm paying 11 cents per kilowatt hour, which is lower than any of these countries when you convert from USD to pence. So again, if you convert this, they've got tax components, then they've got price excluding tax. But if you look at the UK, they're really effed, right? And Germany is getting worse too now, whereas they were a lot better. France is smart because at least France still embraces nuclear energy. But this when you convert this 29 cent per pence kilowatt hour number is more like 38 cents US dollars, and I'm paying like 11, which is like in pence terms is probably like over here it's lower probably than Sweden and Finland. Now somebody made a comment that was a good one, a truthful one, that they said I thought they said, well, I was in here somewhere. Jesus, you guys said a lot. Oh yeah. Now do California, 46 cents. And I said, I can't speak for the woke left, just common sense and what Trump is pushing the country towards, despite states like California. So I can't speak to the 40 cents per kilowatt hour in California. They're woke like the UK. So maybe that's the reason why they have those numbers. We do have about 2 minutes until the bell. Also, I have not forgotten. Buffett also said voting machine versus weighing machine. Yes, exactly, right? Like the voting machine over the short term is going to say whatever they want to say. Right now, they're saying Tesla is 4.7% lower in its value versus what it was earlier today, which is a couple percent lower than what it was really just based on tariff concerns, right? But I think Tesla is worth a lot more. And so I'm willing to ignore the voting machine for the weighing machine to catch up. And that's made me a lot of money over time. So I think that's a really good. Thank you for that comment. RS, yeah, MicroStrategy True North guys talk about buying out of the money leaps 10 to 20% higher than the current price. Very different to Jesse's strategy for out of the money call. Yeah, and so everybody's got it different, right? Like James is in the money. These guys sound like they're a little bit further out. Me, I'm crazy as fuck, and I'm way out. Tezos Ma'am says, but why all these buys from the institutions don't really move the price? It's the way they're doing it. So a lot of them have been shorting miners. So think about this. If you guys are wondering why the price on Bitcoin hasn't moved, it's because the institutions and the really, really rich and powerful didn't want it to yet. And what do I mean by that? So they have the ability to short certain things and then long other things. And so if they're shorting miners and making, hedging their bets while they're buying Bitcoin, or I should say, that's probably not a great example. If they're shorting miners and let's say they're dumping Bitcoin and they're making money off of the short on miners, they can do things that manipulate. I've got to really think of a good example of this. I don't think I have one, so I probably shouldn't butcher it. And the bell is coming, so we're going to skip it. I'll get back to that. Maybe I'll try and think of a really good example to talk about the manipulation. At the very least, it's just having a bunch of money on these OTC desks back in the day. Oh, God, I want to get back to this, too. Wanted to hear what else he had to say. Let me do this. I'm going to keep that where it is, and then we'll get to the bell.
President has a very easy case.
Here we go. He can say, listen, ding, ding, ding. I made it on time. I made it.
He's actually been more consistent than people realize. Short-term gain, jobs come here. That's running consistency.
Let's get the opening bell here in the CNBC real-time exchange. There's a big board.
All right, so we got the opening bell. Let's see how things are moving. Tesla's down 5.25. ARKG down, probably dropping even further. Oh, God, it makes me want to buy some. TLT up 0.9%. We'll see here real quick. Let me pop over here. Oh, I really don't want to buy any of it, but I want to buy more. Maybe I'll sell. I might sell just a little bit of MSTX. I don't know why this is weird. Let me say this real quick and refresh. My watch list isn't coming up, my little pie chart. So TSLL down 11.7%. It's a 2x of Tesla, so that's not surprising. Tesla down almost 6%. MSTX down about 4.83%. So MicroStrategy's taking a hit today. We'll see if that lasts. Again, today could be a down day. We got a really nice day yesterday, at least in regard to Bitcoin-related investments and Tesla. And with the delivery numbers for Tesla today, again, I could just see market could butcher it. We actually are finding support on Tesla, or at least getting in a good range of support. Let me just bring it up over here. If you look over here, so I'm just going to move this out a little bit. So we are hitting a good volume shelf over here. And again, it could drop down even further. 245 could be a thing. We could see that. We could see that based on these delivery numbers because people are being overly bearish. What kind of gap do we have? It's not too much. It's a little bit. So we do have a baby gap that's formed there. And again, it's dropping pretty good. It's down about 6%. It could actually find support right here. This is a large. If you look at the shorter time frame going back, again, like a year or something, multiple years, this is a big volume shelf that we have sitting underneath of us. So it could stop here. Grok has a long answer on genomics. Government funding is significant. Can you shoot me a link? It doesn't have to be in here. I will take a look. And again, here's the thing. I think that, and I don't know with these particular companies how much of the government sector pays for it. And I'll look at Grok and I'll look at that answer and see if I need to reevaluate my thesis. But I think purely speculation and risk on movement in the second half of this year can send ARKG to the moon because it has an AUM that is less than $1 billion. It's that simple of a thesis. And there's like 35 companies in that fund. If one of them had an explosive breakout in the next year and a half, the speculation alone would send it up to the levels that I want to see. That's my thesis. But if you could send it to me, tag me, or just if you're verified or a subscriber on X, I follow everybody that subscribes to me on X. Send me the link in there. You can DM me, and I'll take a look at it. According to Grok, in December 2024 numbers, 2 weeks Mod Y total production would be 42,204. Is that globally? Is that global? because we just got 21,000 in 1 week in China. So if 2 weeks in China is close to 40,000, then that seems like a low number to me. And I wouldn't always trust everything that you get out of Grok. You do have to verify. Globally. Again, all right, let me just show you something. Let's go back here. I think, let's see, Tesla, China, deliveries. Yeah, Grok is great, but you also just can't believe everything you see from it, because that can cause confusion. Because it sometimes, it doesn't have all the data points, and so even though it's working really hard, I'm trying to find. It's like Tesla Chan. Let me see here, Tesla Chan. Let me just see if he's got. No, I don't want to see that one. Here we go. Let's just see. Produced in China in 4 weeks, 83,000. So wholesale 94,000, retail 83, exports. This is a good number. I want the weekly though. I want the weekly. Where you at, Tesla Chan? You got it in here? I don't want this full breakdown. I want the weekly. But whatever. Okay. So for 1 month in February 2025, they produced 40,000 cars. So I'm going to say that global number is bullshit. Okay. 2 weeks, bullshit number. So make sure you do your research. Estimated U.S. government expenditures of $1 to $2 billion. What is that of the overall amount invested in the genomic space? And I do agree, Sawyer. I love that everybody uses Grok. You just can't literally be like, oh, Grok, it just gave me the answer. You have to like cross-check it. You have to ask more clarifying questions because Grok is still a baby, okay? So you have to just think through it. You can't just make assumptions. So Tesla already bouncing, down 4.4% on the day. Finding a bounce almost perfectly on peak volumes down here. So that's cool. TLT is still up. Hood is flat. Palantir is pretty much flat. NVIDIA is down 2%, so the chip tech sector is still taking a hit. CleanSpark is up 0.38% today. Isn't that fascinating? Let me move this off the screen since Tesla's kind of getting a bounce and looking like it's probably not falling off a cliff. MicroStrategy's up 0.2% today, guys. Is today a case for sell the open and buy the close? No, I mean, it might be the opposite of that. It might have been buy the open. Might have been buy the open, and then will they sell at close? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so TSLL now recovering. What's up today? Volatility's up a little bit today. The MOVE Index, MARA, 1.62%, which is funny. Isn't that funny? I think that's funny. Oh, and look at this, guys. MARA, perfectly heading back into our trade channel after overshooting. This is such a sweet spot. Such a sweet spot right here. Bitcoin, 85,250 and climbing. Again, we're in an environment, I've said this before, Bitcoin's going to lead. It's going to lead the charge, guys. It's not sitting in the bottom corner. Let me bring it back. Let me bring the Bitcoin back. We got to talk about Bitcoin. We got to get through our U.S. economy data. Fuck. So much going on. Okay, so we talked about how energy prices in the United States, in some parts, non-liberal parts, are good. We've got Bitcoin showing in the bottom right corner, getting ready to break out of a multi-month downtrend. Actually, since the beginning of the year, essentially. That's cool. We like that. TLT is perfectly inverse correlated to the risk right now. Yes, that is great, right? So, I'm actually hoping we go risk on and TLT drops because, again, I've spent a lot of it. So I would like to have some risk assets, and I think this is what's going to happen, start to recover. Because I think we're going to get good news from the Rose Garden. We're going to hear about countries that have agreed to remove tariffs. Oh, yeah, shit, we should watch that. Let's watch that first. Fuck, I'm all over the place. You guys keep me straight, okay? Tesla Bethy, thank you. Let's watch Tom Lee. We're going to speed him up just a hair because he's a slow talker, unlike moi. So we're gonna 1.5 this bitch, and we're going to walk through Tom Lee because there's some insightful stuff that I want you guys to hear, and then we'll get back. What's your prediction on the tariffs today and how the markets react? I think a buy the open and then maybe sell into the close and then find out that Liberation Day is actually fucking awesome. That's what I think. I think that's opposite of what most people think. All right, let's watch Tom Lee.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community.
And again, I'm not going to give you guys this all the time, but I think it's a good day for it. And I want you, if you can afford it, to think about subscribing to this because these guys are awesome. And I'm not even supposed to be showing this to you. So I'm doing you a service for free that you should be paying for. So just remember, if you got the money and you care about supporting great people, one of the best people I believe in this space, you should contribute financially.
Today is Tuesday, April.
I might do a Rose Garden stream, actually. That's going to be at 3 p.m. close. So maybe I might actually do that.
1st, and this is our macro minute. We are now 1 day away from April 2nd, Tariff Liberation Day. The terms of this.
I need to get some coffee real quick. So I'm gonna do this. We're gonna go back over to here. I'm just gonna disappear from view for a second, guys, and let you guys listen to Tom Lee. And I'm gonna slow it down a little bit because I actually want to hear some of it again too. So I'm gonna do a 1.25. So I'll be right back. Let me get my coffee. See you guys.
This Tariff Liberation Day will be unveiled at 4 p.m. at the Rose Garden. So we still have one full trading day left. And the key question I think we should ask ourselves, at least we think the most important question is, how does President Trump want the stock market to react to Tariff Day? Let me give you some context. Even today, at a White House press briefing, Fox News asked Leavitt, the press secretary, has Trump heard from retirees in Florida stressed about the wild swings in the stock market? And she answered that President Trump takes those concerns very seriously, especially people's savings in 401ks. Well, our view is that there are 6 reasons President Trump wants the stock market to rally after the tariff deals are announced. The first is that this is a public validation of his tariff negotiations and strategy. Politico had a story today that if the White House does end up having an adverse reaction, they're going to try to blame it on Commerce Secretary Lutnick. And in the article, they talk about how if there are fallout from the tariffs, they're ready to play the blame game. And part of this has to do with the fact that they were moderates like Bessent who wanted measured approaches to tariffs. Of course, Navarro has always been very radical, but it was Lutnick that was also pushing for some aggressive tactics. And finally, we also know that President Trump has really enjoyed the uncertainty because that has also brought other countries to negotiate. And that's already happening. Israel is eliminating tariffs on American goods. Mexico and Canada plan to announce something on April 3rd. And even with the UK, there's been discussions how free speech is going to be intertwined with any discussions around tariffs. The second reason President Trump wants the market to react positively is that there's already waning support. It's showing up in voter approval ratings, in ISM surveys, and the consumer surveys. March ISM today had some nuggets. Tariffs are causing minor ripples in securing supplies with purchasing orders. Okay. In the electronics space, customers are pulling orders due to anxiety. In machinery, business conditions are deteriorating at a fast pace. In miscellaneous manufacturing, sales are lower from Europe due to the threat of retaliatory tariffs. The third is that if the stock market crashes, we're probably going to have a recession. That's, I don't think that's disputable. But keep in mind that the average fiscal stimulus in a recession is about 2.2%, which is what the government would have to spend, or $700 billion. These are all the recessions since 1929. And you can see roughly the amount of fiscal stimulus to come out of the recession is equal to the size of the decline in the economy. It's 1-to-1. And the average since 1929 is 2.2%, or $660 billion of fiscal stimulus needed. Think about that for a moment. The U.S. government would have to spend $660 billion to come out of a recession, which is actually the actual expected annual tariff revenues. It would kind of be an offset. The fourth reason President Trump wants the stock market to rally is that you're going to need about $6 trillion of capex to drive all the onshoring. This return to building in America requires companies to actually raise money. And in fact, U.S. companies need a friendly capital markets to fund all this. So you can't have a stock market crash and then have these companies try to raise $6 trillion. And finally, and this is something shared by one of our good clients, ES, who suggested that President Trump might even push for a USA debt ratings upgrade. Well, you can't really have that if the stock market crashes. The U.S. is only rated AAA by Moody's. S&P downgraded the U.S. In 2010 and Fitch in 2023. So the last time the U.S. was truly AAA was before the GFC. But here's the thing. We know people have different views of President Trump and his negotiating capabilities. And
I actually think they're really good. I am biased, but I do think that's 100% right.
you have to wonder, is he a promoter or is he a negotiator? And
he's both.
I think it tends to fall on political lines. Well, it's kind of helpful to see how the U.S. breaks down political lines on various parts of the economy. We know in the general election it was roughly 50-50, but the University of Michigan surveys have more Democratic respondents, which have been skewing the results.
Again, this is super important. I've been talking about this a lot. So if you look at the surveys, and it depends on the survey, specifically. Right now, this one's saying about 57%. Some of the surveys I've been looking at are even higher numbers than that. But again, Michigan, 57% versus 43 is going to give you a more negative perception. Then the media bias is 89% versus 11, even though the U.S. population is split down the middle. And then look at this. The Federal Reserve is 92% liberal. The bond market, savings and loan, this is where Republicans are. Mortgage bankers and brokers, this is where Republicans are. Commercial banks, this is where Republicans are. And then, but some of the most powerful of these are also on the liberal side. So you have to keep that into your equation. And then risk markets, again, it's more liberal for securities investments, hedge funds, and venture capital are 2/3 liberal. So when you look at data and you're analyzing it, you got to look at it through the lens of the bias that is being portrayed. You have to do that. You have to do that. Have to. I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to save this for later. I think this is a really good one I want to show people. Again, Tom, don't sue me. I don't show people too often. It's for clients only. Literally has a disclaimer down there. I probably shouldn't show it. All right. Anyway.
And the media, we know, generally leans very heavily Democratic. It's 89% of employees are Democratic. You might be surprised, but 92% of the political donations from the Fed are to the Democratic Party. And that might shock you, especially because they're supposed to be independent. But even employee breakdown is quite shockingly Democratic. This is a research study.
So when we say in the Fed, it's like 92% Democrat. We should probably fire 90% of them.
Done by Emery Cuvette. And he looked at the political donations of the employees of the Federal Reserve. And what he found was an overwhelmingly tilt towards the Democratic Party. Basically 10-1 for the total, all the Federal Reserve banks. But for the board of governors,
Tesla's only down 3% right now.
It's a 50-1 ratio. Now, we know this because there have been a lot of position papers on progressive ideas, but that's still a pretty shocking percentage. By contrast, if you look at the bond market constituents, we don't really have bond market portfolio managers, but savings and loans, mortgage bankers, and commercial banks, it leans very heavily Republican, 83%, basically.
He's kind of talking about what I said.
Security contrast. Basically, the equity markets lean
there we go.
heavily.
So that's good. So bonds are very conservative and Republican in nature. Equities are more Democratic in nature in their view. And then again, the Fed is just shocking. And then you have the bias in some of these surveys too. So you got to think about all this,
Democratic,
guys.
and the bond market leans Republican. That's actually not the breakdown overall, because overall it's pretty close to 50-50.
Guys, Bitcoin is at 85,840. It is getting ready to break out. Look at the bottom right corner over here, okay?
When you compare,
I told you, it moves first.
Securities to other industries, slightly more Democrats. But as you can see, the equity market has become
This is literally the part of the cycle, Sawyer, where we take off. This is the part of the cycle where we take off if you look at the 2016 cycle.
Increasingly Democratic in the last few elections. Bond market pretty stable. And then if you look at hedge funds specifically, they're even more Democratic than the overall equity markets at 67%. So basically, it's a simpler way to look at it as the stock market leans Democratic and the bond market leans Republican. Does that explain why credit spreads haven't widened as much as the equity markets in the face of the tariff deals? Maybe. We do have some important data in the week ahead, tomorrow, Wednesday morning, our Tesla deliveries for the first quarter.
All right, we already got that.
And that's going to be before because of Elon Musk. The reason I bring up Tesla is 4 p.m. The reason I bring up Tesla is I think it is the first example of the Trump put because of Elon Musk being right in the bullseye of the political controversy and its effect on Tesla demand. But we believe that Tesla is likely to stage a V-shaped bounce, and that's going to be the basis for a V-shaped bounce for equities. Of course, getting back to 330 is key, and then it can make its way to its all-time highs.
I 100% agree with this. It's amazing. It's frightening how much I align from technical levels and fundamental levels. I have to look at other people that argue against these things just to balance shit out.
So in the meantime, we're going to stick with the view that stocks should rally.
So this is what you guys miss, okay? This is what you miss when you're not subscribed to Tom Lee. He does great work. I wish more people would be subscribed to him. I'm pretty sure I already have a lot. I probably got like 50 people that are actively subscribed from my referral links. So you guys make it free for me, which I appreciate. But it's such a great company. His research is amazing. Gold hitting a new high. That's perfect. Again, if you guys just missed it, we believe gold is going to hit a new high and keep hitting a new high. And I believe there's like 10 to 12% upside still in the price of gold. But I also believe that this is a parabola. You can see the curve. Let me see if I can do a curve here. How do I do curves? It's been a while. It's not there. It's not there. Maybe it's here. Curve. Okay. So this has been a while. So you're going to have to bear with me here. Look at this. Look at this. And I'll do this, and then I'll draw this line to here, and then I'll do this, right? So do you guys see a pattern here? Does it look like maybe we're in this parabolic curve over here where we're trying to go higher? This is a parabola. This is the definition of a parabola, and the measured move ends itself. Well, I mean, this is the GLD. It's not gold. I should probably use gold going forward, but this is going to end. And when it ends, you know what's going to take over, and what might be happening right now with 86,100 on Bitcoin. I guess I was right about hitting 91,000 soon. Maybe today after hours, or after stock market hours. But this is a parabola, and when this parabola ends, you know what's going to happen? The people that made all this money, the people that in gold since, let me see here, since when? Since February of 2024, in a year, that have made what could be 60, 70%, they're going to be like, oh, shit, maybe I should. Or right now, if it's 50%, if that's what they made in a year, they're going to be like, you know what, this play is a little played out. Even Peter Schiff seems to be losing some of his, his shimmer. Maybe Bitcoin's cheap. Bitcoin's grinded sideways. It's only up 20% from where it was 4 years ago almost. Like, maybe I should be buying Bitcoin. This is what happens, guys. You got to think about where people are. If you made a bunch of money off of gold and you think the world's coming to an end, but you also understand Bitcoin and you know Bitcoin hasn't went anywhere, what are you going to do? You're going to rotate. Sector rotation, baby. That's what it's all about, and that's what's coming. Jarrett Bell, this is great. This is a really good comment. He said, can't believe we're in an era where our car can drive us more safely to work than we can while we obtain reasonable answers to obscure questions that would previously taken hours of research. Fuck yeah. Isn't this great? Isn't it great, the world that we live in right now and what we're capable of? It's really phenomenal. I do want to get back though. So I'm all over the place today. I actually have a lot to go over, and 9 o'clock is just not enough time. So I might go to 9:30 again, because this is just, we got a lot of good stuff. I do want to hear what Doug Ford, this bitch ass in Canada, is saying real quick.
They're critical mineral mass. We have all the critical minerals that our great neighbors need. We have the energy that our great neighbors need.
I just want to go back for a moment. If, in fact, you're prepared to take your tariffs off, why wouldn't you have that negotiation and that conversation now?
Yes. Great question.
Before any tariffs get put in place.
Well, we've had this conversation for over the last month. We don't want tariffs. We have another $65 billion worth of tariffs to launch today. That's the last thing we want to do, because it's just, again, it's going to hurt both countries. It's going to hurt American workers. That's the last thing I want.
He literally talked about shutting energy off to the entire upper Midwest.
And take the other ones off, not the ones you're launching today, the ones that you already got.
You're saying you take all your tariffs off. I'm saying
we will take them all. That's right.
Then why is that not already? I guess my question is, why has all of that not already happened? And does
Great question. This is fun.
Does President Trump know that you'd be prepared to do that?
He knows, and Secretary Lutnick knows that we're willing to take these tariffs off like in the next minute if he said he's taking their tariffs.
So some of it's pass-through tariffs. So there's going to be some tariffs that have to exist because we're trying to hold them accountable for holding China accountable. I don't know if they're covering that in this subject, but it's nice to see Dworkin on the right side of history. Yes, Mike.
Tariffs off. So let's look at the auto sector.
So how much of this then is some kind of theatrical dance between both yourself, frankly, and the administration? I mean, it sounds to me like if you're prepared to take yours off right now, he should be prepared to take
Dan.
whatever we would
Good point.
implement, and we wouldn't have this conversation. What I can't figure out is whether both of you
I don't
are
know,
waiting
though. I still think
so
there's a
that
reason.
you can say that you've both won in some way.
Andrew, let me be very clear. We didn't start this tariff war. You know, a tariff on Canada.
But again, they had tariffs in place that we're trying to get them to remove. So this is a stupid fucking comment. I do think, though, that there's more going on here than we see. I think Trump does want to end the fentanyl trade and make sure that none of it's coming in through Canada. But I think that is more of a guise for what he's really focused on, which is making sure that everything that China is dumping into Canada and dumping into Mexico is tariffed to shit. That's what he wants. He wants to know that these guys are serious. Basile, thank you very much for becoming a member. That they're serious and that they are tariffing the shit out of everything that's coming from China, and that they're doing a good job ensuring that none of it makes it through without getting tariffed. And if they don't do that, then we're going to hold their feet to the fire. I think that's what's happening.
There's a tax on Americans. Simple as that.
But you've already got tariff stuff, Mr. Premier. You say you didn't start it. You already have all these existing tariffs that you're willing now to take off. We're putting them on today, right?
Joe, you've had these tariffs. I mean, we're getting tariffed on, the auto parts, for example, is a big part of our economy here. And right away,
he's just ignoring the conversation.
I had a conversation with the Prime Minister this morning, and I can tell you one thing. If he dropped all the tariffs, we'd have zero tariffs. We'd grow as I say, you can't unscramble the egg. You have to make a larger omelet. And I believe in the AMCAN fortress.
So here's the thing, guys. Let's just get past the noise. Canada can't handle this. They can't have it happen for a long period of time. They're absolutely fucked if they do. Absolutely fucked. Just destroyed, decimated, right? Like 60% of their goods are traded to the U.S. Devastated. It's a huge amount of their economy. I can't remember if it's 60% of their GDP, whatever. It doesn't matter. We can look it up. But it's devastating to Canada. And Doug is willing to walk back all of them, and that is what will happen. That's the signal. Ignore the noise. Ignore the back and forth. Ignore all the bravado. Plus, we got Mark Carney diddling little kids. We got that too, okay? There's a reason why his name hasn't been released in any Epstein files, especially if he ends up being the Prime Minister of Canada. We'll be able to hold him and bend him over whenever we want. Not that he will. I actually think Pierre is going to win, but we'll see. I mean, it's really popular and in vogue right now for Western countries to steal elections and imprison their political opponents. So we'll see if Pierre can win. But if he doesn't, I think we've got the other guy over the barrel too. And I think all this ends, and that's the signal.
This is the idea that you're prepared to get rid of all of your.
I don't know if it's destroyed, but yes, you can come to live in the United States. I think what will end up happening if Mark Carney does win, which I don't even know if that's true. You guys it could be smoke and mirrors, man. I think we have him bent over, and I think we apply a lot of pressure to Canada. Tesla's only down like less than 2% now, guys. And Bitcoin's taken off. Isn't this interesting? Everybody thought that like the world was ending today. Maybe it isn't. Yeah, they've never had zero tariffs. You're right. But I think that, again, we will have a better trading relationship with Canada when this is over. I think we'll have a better trading relationship with Mexico. I don't know about China. That's who we're trying to hurt. We're going to have a better trading relationship with India because they've already talked about taking off 23 billion or whatever the number is in tariffs, and we'll probably get even more out of them. And then we'll have Tesla entering their market. All kinds of things that weren't previously happening. Vietnam's already dropped all their tariffs. Israel's already dropped all their tariffs. You're going to hear about a bunch more. I've been saying this for a while. This is what's going to happen. And maybe people will eventually listen to me. I don't know. Luckily, some of you guys do.
Your tariffs is exactly what
more data points coming out in 1 minute.
President Trump wants. And by the way, he would take that as a win I mean, I think he'd take this interview as a win if in fact you're saying, okay, we'll do no tariffs, because then he should do no tariffs.
I'm leaning with what you're saying, Arcadian. No poly market is wrong. Turnout for Pierre is just like you had for Trump. I agree with that, actually. I think the most likely scenario is that Pierre actually wins. Now, I don't know if we imprison him afterwards. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Canadian government or whatever else, because that's in vogue. Whether it's Romania, whether or not it's France, whether or not it's what they're talking about doing in Ireland with Conor McGregor, whether or not it's Brazil, whether or not it's all the entire Western elite World Economic Forum crew just imprisons their political opponents nowadays. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. But I do think that Pierre is actually winning. I do believe that. I really do. Wed Bush, Musk needs to get his act together or else, unfortunately, darker times are ahead. Shut the fuck up, Wed Bush. Shut the fuck up. That's funny. Fuck you. People are so, I don't know, man. Between the people that are on the left, even me, Kevin, I think is getting better. Maybe he said some bullshit too recently. I don't know. But like Jeremy, the Invest guy, and then also, who's the other guy? Ross Gerber Kawasaki. Just all these stupid fucking fair weather people who are happy to make money off of Elon Musk and Tesla, and then at the end, just act like little bitches. Dan Warren, if a tariff deal is made, Carney will lose juice and Pierre will make a comeback, I think. That is a really good point. So maybe if you want Mark Carney to win, whether it's our president wanting him to win because we have a bunch of pedo picks, or you're Mark Carney and you want to win, maybe you keep this tariff deal going for a little bit longer. What is the election? April 30th? Is that right? Somewhere around there. So maybe you keep the issues with Canada going for like 1 month and you sound strong, and then you cave through some amazing deal after you get elected. But again, I actually think Pierre is winning.
That's right. But right now, he's doing tariffs on the vehicles, right? So we're proposing the tariff, I should say. So it's just this tariff war between the two greatest countries is ridiculous.
Oh, did he make it public? Okay, cool.
Again, we didn't start this. We didn't build a relationship that we've had.
You did start it. You've been tariffing us forever.
For 200 years.
I thought you were going to come down and have some conversations about the U.S.
Look at that. Canada's not for sale. What a stupid fucking sign.
MCA and some of that stuff, maybe that wouldn't be. You did have that. Was there progress? Is it possible to talk about?
I thought it was a great conversation. We're dealing with very bright business people. There's no doubt. Secretary Ludman is bright. So is the president.
The way you guys say "no doubt," I love it. I love it so much.
I'm not too sure if they understand the.
Oh, we lost him. That's fine.
Session. Here are some movers.
We'll go live anyway. I think we got enough out of him anyway, so that was good. I'm going to pause right here. Actually, I'll probably leave this one playing just because I have the other one playing down below too.
Away from President.
I'll just. Whoa, what?
The administration providing few details on what to expect.
Okay, no, this is talking about for later today. All right, so I want to keep going. I got a lot to do. I haven't even done half the shit I was. Okay, so Mario Nawful. The U.S. now produces 50% more oil than Saudi Arabia. So let's look at this real quick here. So now the United States is up here, Russia's down here, and Saudi Arabia is down here. We are becoming a predominant power in energy generation, especially in regard to oil, and that's only going to continue. I strongly believe that Papa Powell will lower rates to preserve his legacy, which ends with the Fed in 2026. And you got to remember, guys, I think the Treasury Secretary is talking to Papa Powell. Remember how much softer Papa Powell's tone was? Oh, we just got our data. One sec. Let me look here. We got Rick Santelli talking too. I'm just going to refresh. So we got factory orders month over month, 0.6. Ooh, up. Versus consensus and forecast. Factory orders ex transportation slightly down, up versus previous, but slightly lower, 0.1 lower than forecast. So these are good numbers. So transportation's actually when you remove transportation, it's slightly weaker. So auto's actually doing better. Isn't that fascinating? I think a lot of that is tied in with Tesla, but these aren't bad numbers. These are not bad numbers. Again, if we just look here, let me go to the 5-year. That's probably better. You can kind of see a trend that's going up, like right here. Look at this. You see where we're consolidating down, and now we're kind of going up. And this isn't bad for factory orders, guys. This isn't a bad number. We're still seeing strength. We saw good employment data today. And then we saw factory orders that are okay. Total vehicle sales, we got that one too. Whoa. Look at that, guys. Probably people trying to buy cars before the tariffs. I'm imagining some of this drops off, but I mean, these are levels that we saw in the bounce back after COVID. So that's fascinating. So vehicle sales definitely happened before tariff wars. And again, there's a lot of inventory too, still sitting around, but this is good stuff. I do want to see if Rick Santelli, super fast, has anything to say, any revisions or anything that we need to know about.
That the yields are moving up and the equity markets are moving up as well, and here's the reason why. Factory orders for February.
Yeah, so yields are getting a bounce, TLT's dropping.
1%
Probably should have sold some of that.
Come out a little better, up 0.6% with a nice positive revision in the rearview mirror from 1.7 to 1.8.
Positive revisions too, guys.
1.7, both would be the best since July of last year, so we're holding on to some of that strength. Take out transportation, still pretty good number, up 0.4, exactly as expected, and another positive revision. We gain a tenth on our January number from 0.2 to 0.3. Now, durable good orders, these...
If only somebody could have told us that the sky is not falling earlier.
Aren't fresh. These are finals, which means they're taking mid-month and moving them just a bit. And in this case, the durable goods number that originally came out was up 0.9. This improves to up 1%. Strip out.
So, guys, we got another better number, a revision to durable goods.
Transportation still holding nicely, and it remains at the mid-month level, up 0.7%. And if we look at capital good orders, non-defense auxiliary proxy for capital spending, it improved a tenth, but it's still negative, minus 0.2.
All the revisions are higher. Isn't that a nice change of pace? Is this not like the opposite of the Biden administration? Where it's like, guys, we added like 1 billion jobs last quarter, and then all of a sudden you find out they lost like 1 billion. That's not a real number, by the way. Martin Fenton said maybe Doug is unaware of all the tariffs Canada has on the U.S. You'd hope he wouldn't be, or would be. Muli Halleck, the voters of the East Coast Canada will never vote conservative. Polymarket. No, they wouldn't. That's true. And like a little bit down in the Southwest too, where we have like Oregon and Washington State and California and all the lib shit there. That's true. That's very, very true. This is great, though. This is all good. These are all amazing revisions, guys. There's nothing to be mad about here. But let's jump back over here. So I was talking about how I think the Fed, because again, the Fed is talking to Treasury Secretary Bessent, and Papa Powell knows that Scott is smarter than him, okay? Tesla only down 1%. Gotta love it. Cool. But they know that Papa Powell's smarter than them, okay? So the Fed fund rate is restrictive. It's 4.43, even though the 10-year right now is at 4.15. So 25 BIP is nothing. It's going to happen in May. Just mark my words. And he's saying that there's a real-time policy mistake that we're seeing here because we saw that hiring and construction was dropping. I would argue, actually, that this one is ticking up a little bit, which is kind of nice. And then hires in manufacturing has been going down. But I would also argue that that's going to be turning around too. But I do think that we'll get those cuts. We had the Fed talking dovish. They're talking dovish for a reason. If you haven't watched this video that just came out, cross-border cap, forward guidance, it's a good one. And then it's got Fajua on there. I can't remember his name. He's great. He's a really good dude. He's the host of it. And I asked Cross-Border Capital this question. I don't think I'll have to, it's hard to, I need to actually see if I can get this guy on my YouTube channel. It might be hard because I cuss like a sailor. I'm very political. I'm like completely inappropriate half the time. Not a lot of people talk about taking potty breaks. So it might be hard to get him on here. We'll see. But I would love to get Cross-Border Cap on here. I wanted to ask him about Bitcoin bonds being a partial answer to our debt refinancing needs come Q3. Because I love the idea, guys, I can't get it out of my fucking head now, where we should issue Bitcoin-related bonds. Whoa, hey, party time. We should issue Bitcoin-related bonds. And the reason we should do that is because it's got a 1% yield guaranteed every year, which is crazy low compared to the 4.15% that we're seeing on the 10-year right now. And so we could make it to where our debt is really cheap, but 10% of these are backed by Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is likely to go up in value. And so you have a payout where if it goes up in value, you give a certain percentage of that too. I think it goes up to 4.5% for the cap. And then after that, you get 4.5% of market rate for the cap on this. Or no, that's the 10-year rate. But no, you get 1% for the proposed bond, and then you get 50% of gains that happen with it. So you have an outsized return with this, and you have the not having our potential, because if you believe in Bitcoin, why wouldn't you? Instead of buying regular bonds, why wouldn't you be buying some that are partially backed by Bitcoin? And then at the same time, you're making it to where the U.S. government has a way, without doing any spending, balance neutral, just like they talked about. They have a way to be able to make it to where they're actually purchasing Bitcoin and adding it to our strategic reserve. This could be one of many ways that they do that. But think about how much better our debt would be from an interest standpoint if all we were doing is having to pay 1%, and then any more that we pay on top of that is coming from the Bitcoin gains. And then we're buying Bitcoin heavily, and maybe even mining it, because again, Eric Trump and his family, Trump's family, have a Bitcoin mining business now. I don't know, man. And I know why Eric Trump why Trump changed his thesis on Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about that too. EC gave me $10. Thank you, my friend. When things turn around for the better in a few months, you need to start wearing your sleeveless Chachi shirts. They bring good luck and extend our rallies. Here, you know what I can do? I can roll up my sleeves for now. I could do the roll up sleeves and then get kind of partial Chachi. I need to work out though if I'm going to do that, so I'll try and get to the gym more to do that. But yeah, no. So I asked Michael Howell. I said, "Hey man, do you think this can partially offset our refinancing needs in Q3? It seems like a combination of these defense bonds and modifying the supplemental leverage ratio, and maybe kicking and then also with some of this debt, simply doing what the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen used to do, which is just kick the can further down the road. We don't have to refinance all the debt. Why don't we kick some of it down the road?" And Scott Besson has said this. Okay, he's basically said this. He said that we will do the things that are needed at the appropriate times. Okay, and I infer on top of that we don't need to lock in all of the debt at really high interest rates. We need to show people that we're fiscally responsible and we're bringing this stuff down, and maybe slow down the rest of the fucking world a little bit by tariffing the shit out of them. And in the combination of doing that, we're going to drive growth in our economy. We're going to have pro-tax policy or low-tax, pro-growth policies in the United States. We're going to buy Bitcoin. We're going to have the gold card. We're going to do all these things to pull people in and make it to where our economy is not impacted, but the world is seeing disinflation, maybe deflation in some places. And so that ends up making it to where people start to worry about their stuff. They either go all in on their bonds like they did with the Chinese bond market, where literally these guys, and the only reason, this is not normal. This is not normal. You know what this is? This is people buying investments that are locked because they're locked into this market, and maybe they don't have all the ability, especially at a large scale like corporations and others that have too much money. They don't have the ability to get that money out of the country. They're doing it as best as they can. All right. But there's only so much capital they can pull out. So what are they doing instead? They're buying bonds because they don't trust the stock market. They don't trust the real estate market, and they can't get all their money out of this closed economy. So they buy this trash and they get yields that are like 1.86 right now, or that were all the way down to 1.58 a while ago, just because they're desperate. This is not normal. Other economies that are open will see their bond yields explode higher. Look at Germany. Look at the UK. If you're fiscally irresponsible, your yields are going to climb because people will not buy your bonds. What will they buy? In a world that is slowing, where the United States is a fucking powerhouse in the golden age, whose bonds are you going to buy? Are you going to buy the ones backed by Bitcoin? Or are you going to buy ones from the UK or Germany or China? I mean, if you're in China, you have to with some of that, right? But if you're outside of China, are you buying this trash? Are you? So think about where we're going to be in the future and realize the opportunity that sits in front of us. Disinflation is just like a reduction in inflation. Deflation is like a downward fucking spiral. There's a more formal definition than that. Look it up. But essentially, disinflation is just like the reduction of the inflation, right? Like we saw disinflation, but we're still inflating. That's probably a better definition. Let me show you. So over here, we saw massive inflation, right? It went way up. It went from like negative numbers. This is deflation right here, right? What we saw during the pandemic was deflation. It's where we're actually going negative. It's not inflating. It's going negative. So what did they do? They printed the largest amount of money ever in history. They printed 40% of the money supply since then. They created a bunch of artificial inflation. We saw that come across very quickly and to really fucking high numbers. Double digit numbers. 11.59%. It peaked in June of 2020. But then we came back down because we didn't print a bunch more money, or we did for a while, and that's why we had this big hump, right? Like we were here from basically we started the money printer over here-ish, and then we had this going on for like 2 years almost. 2 years of just like inflated stuff. And then it eventually started to roll over. And then we were doing all the weird not QE with Janet Yellen, trying to make it to where she's only issuing shorter dated treasuries, not the long stuff, because she didn't want the long end of the curve, the 10, 20, and 30 years, to have really high yields. So if you don't issue any, you starve the market artificially. And then you're paying high amounts of interest with the shorter dated treasuries, but at the same time, you're not locking it in for decades. But you can see the inflation stopped, right? So now we're in disinflation where it's falling. The rate of inflation is falling. But it's not negative. When it turns negative, it's deflation. Hopefully that helps. Jesse, if you could buy only shares, no options or leveraged ETF, what would you get? Mara, MSTR, or Tesla? Mara. Mara and Tesla first. I like MSTR a lot. I actually think it can go pretty high, but it's already done really well and it's a high market cap. So I think it can go like 100%, 200%, but I think Mara can go at least 2x that. But again, I like a divvy of everything. So maybe you get like a larger position in Mara, and then you get maybe split the rest between like Tesla and MSTR to where you have a little bit of everything, or maybe you throw some clean spark in there. Diversification is great. Even without options, I still say diversify. It limits individual company risk or asset risk. RS also says, I'm asking because one of my accounts, which I can't take money out of, only allows shares. Okay, yeah. So maybe a combination. And again, I'm not an investment advisor. You can speak to one of those guys, but they're fucking worthless. So, MB, institutional deflation only truly possible in a recession. Yeah, essentially. I mean, you get to this point where Ray Dalio has a good video about this. I don't like everything he does, but he's 100% right about like what happens in a deflationary world, and he's got a really good The New World Order. It's like he's got good content. Just ignore all the positivity he has around China and the fact that he's negative about the U.S. I think that's changed a lot too. He used to hate Bitcoin. Now he's totally on board. I don't know if he's just all pro-China now or if he's starting to shift. He was very much invest all your money in China, fuck the U.S. The U.S. is fucked. I think he's still kind of in the U.S. is fucked camp. He just can't see the reality yet. But the one thing that he does well, he's got this video that talks about the downward spiral that is created. And maybe I could just find this and throw it in chat. Ray Dalio, downward spiral. Let me see. It's kind of a weird word to look up. Ray Dalio and the American debt problem. He had this really good video. I don't know if anybody knows that. Ray Dalio, let me see. Let me just do deflation. It's probably a better keyword. Here we go. This is it. Okay.
How the economic machine works.
1 second. I'm going to put this in chat. I'm not going to play this right now, but you guys should check this out. It's a really good video. If you want to understand kind of what happens when you fuck it all up, this is a great video. Just ignore some of the, I don't know how much he references China and the USA, but just keep in the back of your head, the USA is doing the right things and we're on a good path and we'll be on a better path soon. And realize that China's on a really horrible path and that they're probably fucked. Maloney is advocating against a trade war between the EU and the US. Good. Smart. She's awesome. We love her. Unlock Real Estate. Jesse Bro, what's your thoughts on ONDS? They just had some partnership with Palantir. I don't even remember them well enough to be able to talk to it. Maybe we could look at a little bit of that in a second. I got a lot to get through, though. I've been really slow today. So again, I think the bit bonds thing is good. I think that's good. My buddy Andres Steno-Larsen said here, how am I not following you, bro? Jiminy Christmas. 1 second. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Oh, I lost him. Damn it. All right, we'll look at that again. Or I can pull it up. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, or here's one of them. Time for non-farm payrolls report that is weak enough to wake up the Fed. So what he's talking about here is Challenger U.S. job cuts already has started to drop. So he thinks non-farm payrolls will drop too, and that will help with our rate cut once we get that data point. I agree. Goldman Sachs, they don't own enough. Oh, okay, we already talked about that one. I think I lost that other one, but whatever. We don't need it. We talked about a lot of good stuff in the U.S. economy. I actually want to jump real quickly to Bitcoin because there's a lot going on there too that we want to talk about. I might have already said this, but Bitcoin, you got gold over here. Bitcoin is gold, and then, or I shouldn't say that, not gold. Bitcoin is the goldish color. The black is global liquidity. And so he is also seeing this. He tracks global liquidity with like 93 different data points or 96 or some shit. So he's got a different perspective. He's still potentially bearish for 5 to 12 months out because he's not seeing the light of how we're going to refinance all of our debt, I think maybe in the way I am. So he's not as optimistic, but he said over the next 3 months, it looks promising for Bitcoin to go higher. So even if you don't believe in the long-term vision, which you should, there's at least some hope for the next 3 months for you to make some money and then maybe get the fuck out. Jesse, do you have an update on your portfolio? No, I haven't done it yet. We looked at it for a second earlier. I probably should do it because I just realized it's 3 months old. And I kind of walked through some of the changes with it. TLT is like a much lower portion. It's only 250K now. So it's probably like 7-8% of my portfolio. It's gotten way lower. And then MSTX and MSTU have dropped because I've sold some of that so that I could dial into CleanSpark, ArcG, Mara calls, and Iron calls. And then TSLL is a lot larger of a portion of my portfolio. It's maybe 15% now. I don't know the exact number. And then I have virtually no cash. And then BITX is gone. And I took out some money because I got to pay taxes. That's the update, but I need to formally go in here and do it. It's just laborious, and I'll try and work on it this week. I'm also trying to build a fence and just do a ton of shit, including taxes and fucking getting rid of titles and paying for sales tax on new vehicles and just a lot of shit, bro. So, but I'll work on it. All right, so Bitcoin. Ryan, GameStop, $1.5 billion investment in Bitcoin will make them the fourth largest Bitcoin holder among public corporations, beating Tesla and underneath Riot. Awesome. Again, this is in front of us, not behind us. GME naming their LBE initiative Project Rocket is not priced in. So again, Ben just pointed out the fact that, and I can't remember what the term LBE. It's essentially like they're offering for this. I don't remember what the term what LBE stands for, but they named it Project Rocket. So that tells you a lot. Also, Indian public company Jet King is raising $6.6 billion. This might be in Indian currency, the rupee, and I don't know how much that is off the top of my head, to buy Bitcoin. Here we go. So that's awesome. Now you're seeing Indian companies doing the same thing. Also, Bitcoin Munger has that whales, if you look at addresses with between 1,000 and 10,000 and over 10,000, they're buying. This is a really good sign. This is what you want to see. Breaking, Japanese company MetaPlanet just bought 160 Bitcoin for 2 billion yen. Mr. Crypto, the Golden Cross is confirmed. Bitcoin is going to make history. I agree. You can see what it's done before, right? Golden Cross, nice move. Golden Cross, really nice move. Golden Cross, really nice move. Golden Cross, get ready. Get ready. And again, we had kind of a fake out over here. But again, there's just been a lot of stuff going on. I don't see that happening. Again, I see the opposite. Tether bought 8,888 Bitcoin for $735 million in Q1 of 2025. Tether now holds over 100,000 BTC worth $8.3 billion. Looks like they're trying to be a country or a little tiny baby sailor. Again, everybody's consuming Bitcoin. Yes, I sold the entire thing. I post all my trades. I showed that a while ago. BITX is less of a multiplier versus MSTX and MSTU, and definitely less of one than what we would have with like a Mara and IRA and Clean Spark with the calls that can do, 10x the underlying. So I got out of those because, again, they're like 2 to 3x the underlying. And I wanted to get into something that has a higher multiplier. So I moved into the other things instead. And I posted all my trades when I did it. And I talked about it on here and in other stuff. So yes, I did. Could you please go through IRA and technicals? Yeah, we can look at that in a second. Never thought I'd actually consider adding GME. I still wouldn't, man. I still wouldn't. People thought there was a short squeeze sitting on there. There is not a short squeeze. It's just stuff that they were doing for their ATM. Amit, Jesse, how does Tesla look at these technical levels? It looks fucking beautiful. We'll look at that in a second. President Trump's admin hints the USA will be selling gold to buy Bitcoin. This is Bo Hines. Bo Hines is brilliant. There's also Cynthia Loomis. I want you to hear that conversation. I don't know if I have it all. Fuck. I'll give you a link if nothing else.
Of it. And I didn't get to ask it, but I'm going to ask you now. You've mentioned, and I'm sure you've had this question before, budget neutral ways to potentially buy Bitcoin down the line. Can you give me an example of a budget neutral way you may be thinking of?
I mean, there's a lot of high IQ people working on this, and I will give you an example. But I say that only to say that there's been countless ideas over the course of the last week or so, and in a sense of how we can actually accomplish this. I'll actually point you to Senator Lemis's Bitcoin Act of 2025, in which she believes that we can identify the real true value of some of these gold certificates that are, basically, I think it's like $172 an ounce is what they're categorized at right now. And if we actually realize the gains on that, that would be a budget neutral way to acquire more Bitcoin. I mean, there's countless different ways you can do it. I know the Secretary of Treasury, Bessent, and the Secretary of Commerce with Howard Lutnick. I mean, they're going to come up with, these are smart people that understand this space really well. And as we convene as a working group, we'll flesh out the best ideas and we'll enact those ideas.
So I want to hold up real quickly here. So they also hold Bitcoin and or other assets, and they've not divested from them. Just to be clear. So you show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. It's like a popular saying, right? I don't remember if it's Charlie Munger or Buffett. It doesn't really matter. But we know that all the top officials in the Trump administration hold Bitcoin. I mean, even Elon does. I believe within a number of his companies, SpaceX has Bitcoin. Tesla has Bitcoin. I don't know if he personally has Bitcoin. Howard Lutnick has massive amounts of Bitcoin. He also owns other investments. I think MicroStrategy might be one of them. Scott Bessent has Bitcoin. I think it's just the hundreds of thousands. Everybody in that, Eric Trump, I'll talk about in a second why those guys are heavily invested into Bitcoin. But you show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. What do you think the fucking outcome is going to be when we're saying that we're going to be the #1 Bitcoin and crypto capital of the world? And everybody in the administration has financial incentive to do that. And even liberals are looking for stablecoin legislation and to support some of this because they can see what kind of cash cow it is.
Gold. Theoretically, could you sell some of the gold in Fort Knox to buy Bitcoin? Can we? Is that possible?
Well, if it's
yes, but listen,
budget neutral and doesn't cost the taxpayer a dime.
You're kind of exchanging one for the other.
We'll see whatever creative ideas that we can come up with. And, like I said, with all the interagency working group actors that will convene in these meetings, I mean, we're going to hear some tremendous ideas about how we could do it. I just don't want to box us in yet to what that actually looks like because I want to be able to hear from everybody. And I think that's one thing that's different about this White House is we welcome in new ideas, innovative solutions, and it's no different the way that we're running our office.
Love it.
That's beautiful. That's a good one. Let's keep going, though. Here's even better, dude. Cynthia Loomis with Natalie Brunell, who I love. These two women are just fucking amazing. This is so good. So let's listen to this. More talk about how some of this bill is going to work. Just listen.
The idea of a Bitcoin reserve. What I'm trying to figure out right now.
This entire interview was amazing. You should watch it.
Is whether it needs to be done legislatively or whether the Treasury Secretary has the authority to do it right now.
What's that? We don't even need an act of Congress.
And certainly President Trump has signed an executive order in support of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The idea of a
So just what did Cynthia just tell you? That we might not need an act of Congress to even start to do this. Now, again, can the Treasury Secretary just literally issue bonds, Bitcoin bonds, to do this? It's budget neutral. It 100% works. She literally alluded to what I think is probably going to happen. Right there. And there's so much more in that conversation that's just amazing. Also, I haven't listened to this yet, but this is the recording for the first ever meeting with American Bitcoin. That is, again, Eric Trump's baby. And Eric and Donald Jr. were in this, along with other people that are related to it. So I would definitely follow this. Honestly, I need to follow all of these people because there's so much. I'll do that later, but I got to follow all these people. It's a big deal. It's a big deal what's happening right now, guys. And this is on April 1. MetaPlanet bought another 669 or 96 Bitcoin for 10.15 billion yen. Again, this is another one on top of the one I just showed you. And let's see here, 25%. Yeah, we saw that one. So I don't even know if I have the Eric Trump interview in here. Oh, I don't know if I do. I want to find it. So there's so much stuff going on. It's just fucking hard to keep up, man. There is so much. You got global liquidity increasing. You got all these wonderful conversations. I like this too. Fiat Hawk said Bitcoin's going to demonetize real estate 10x faster than gold. I actually do agree with that. I think it's going to eat up things like that even more. And again, Donald Trump and Eric Trump Jr. invest in a Bitcoin mining company. I never thought about this before, but did you ever wonder why Donald Trump went from last time as president number 45 from just shitting all over Bitcoin and saying that he wanted a strong dollar to his stance now, which is completely opposite? Have you ever wondered that? Well, did you know that I think it was like 1,500 people, political figures, were debanked in this last administration, including Donald Trump, his kids, his entire family? You know what they had to do when they couldn't get bank accounts anymore? Use crypto. Buy Bitcoin. The last administration literally changed the views of this entire family and taught them that they had to understand Bitcoin and crypto if the banking administration was going to take them out. They probably also can relate to Vladimir Putin pretty well in that regard, right? Because we debanked him from the entire global economy. Took him out of SWIFT. So I think that this is fucking amazing right now. And I think that Trump's views on Bitcoin are truly positive, and I think they're refined from Eric and Donald Trump Jr., having to learn everything about this. And again, they're still kind of crypto bros. They're not fully like Bitcoin. And again, I think crypto has a place. I really do. I think digitizing assets is going to be a huge thing. I don't think it all has to be on Bitcoin. So I think stable coins are coming. I think this administration has a massive incentive to pump Bitcoin. I think this is what's happening, guys. I think we're on a parabolic growth curve, but we're still in the baby stages of it. I don't think we're done at 150K. I really don't. But you could delever then. Definitely don't sell here. That's my take, okay? And just take the time to understand the world around you. Take the time. And again, voter ID, I wanted to talk to this real quick. Voter ID, we didn't get our Supreme Court justice. In Wisconsin, we did get two people, I believe, in the House in Florida. We won those hands down. So nothing really changed because this Supreme Court justice, it's not like they were taking one from conservative. It's just there's talk amongst them about gerrymandering the districts and trying to get it to where they can win in the future. But here's what's great. Outside of this just wicked liberal Madison, and then Milwaukee's pretty liberal too, we got a yes on voter ID requirements. So even in a state that just voted this liberal Supreme Court justice who is just a horrible, like, I don't know, a horrible judge, they still, by a 2-to-1 margin, voted for voter ID. So I think that's going to be really strong in the future, and I'm happy about it. I would get ready for Liberation Day. It's happening today. I would thank Scott Pressler for his hard work. And he's moving on now. He's moving back over to Pennsylvania, and then he's got to change jersey and turn it red. So he's going to keep working and moving forward. I think yesterday was a great awakening for the Republican Party that they need to be boots on the ground. Charlie Kirk said it best. We are the party now of the working man. These people take baths or showers before they go to work, and they take showers after they get home. because they're dirty, they work their fucking asses off, and they don't have a lot of time to vote. So we need to be actively participating and engaged in elections that are very, very crucial, like the one we just experienced. It shouldn't be a half-ass like, oh, let's listen to Charlie Kirk and Scott Pressler all of a sudden, and then Elon Musk has to drive it. It should be that the Republican Party is pushing this stuff and has a plan. And you know who needs to be running that shit? All of it? The entire platform for the fucking GOP? You know who needs to be running that? He's standing right there. What would the irony be if the biggest advocate and the planner and the person that helps us win all the votes is a gay man from California? Just like our Treasury Secretary, who's a gay man. It makes it really hard for some of these liberal talking points. And this guy, I don't know anybody else that works harder than he does. So let's make him the fucking head of this shit and start making some progress so that we don't have to listen to people like this. Okay? There's more stuff to talk about. I don't want to go into all of it. It's been a good day. We're 2.5 hours in. We talked about a lot of stuff. I hope you guys got something valuable out of it. If you did, I worked pretty hard too. So if you got value out of it, if you guys could run over, I'll retweet this and put it at the top. But if you guys could like my video that I put in here somewhere, I'll put it at the top. If you could do that, that's greatly helpful to me. It lets people know that you care and that there might be something of value sitting inside of it. And I think there was a lot of value that was sitting here right now. Charlie is responsible for an absurd amount of voter turnout in colleges. Oh, he's great. Honestly, Scott and Charlie should be running the entire fucking thing. Give them all the money. Give them all the money. They'll take care of it. But yeah, if you guys like what you saw today and you got value from it, if you could say something, comment, like, share, and tell people you get value out of it if any of my insights are worth anything at all. Otherwise, I love you guys, and I will see you maybe even this afternoon at 3 o'clock so that we can listen to President Trump talk about his vision of the future and why things are going to be better and hopefully some good news. All right, I love you guys. Peace out. I will talk to you later, okay? Bye.